Salutations, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Perspectives Podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Littyyy Bro Flacko. Here is Holden Stephan Roy. Say hi, Holden. There we go. Come on, that was a little delayed, but at least he came with the tried and true. Today we have in the house a special guest. I've been looking forward to this. 1/3 of the Let's Chop This Fable podcast, Battle League owner of No Mercy Battle League,
Trap New York,
rapper
Trap New
also
York.
Trap New York, rapper too as well, besides battle rapper, correct?
Yeah,
like there's footage of you out here in these internet streets getting your rapping on. Yeah. Along with general battle rap personality, Twitch host on the KOTD feeds when they were doing the tournament this year, right? And last year, or just
this was last year. It actually blended between last year and this year.
Into this year, right. That's right. Because it went into the beginning. All those titles, No Mercy in the building, folks.
Yeah. What's good, y'all? Appreciate y'all bringing me on, man. And let me just say, man, like Flacko, you know, you got the name Flacko, but I know you as Dutch Vega.
You know me.
You feel what I'm saying? Facts. When it comes
Feel
to
free to call me Dutch Vega all you want. It's okay.
Listen, when it comes to battle rap, right? I feel like if you don't remember the infamous, and it's the order too, the Dutch Vega, Sarah Connor, Poison Pen, like it's solidified in my head like that. Like that's how I remember it. So you always will be a legend in my book when it comes to this game, whether people give you your flowers or not. And I want to personally give you yours because you're just one of those people who just been around for so long, been putting on, always been A1, always been solid, like, you know, shit like that. So, you know, you definitely, and you're giving a platform to where you can give other people their flowers. And that's always, you know, a dope thing to do, just to spread the love and everything. So, you know, it's more appreciated than you know, for real.
Yo, blessings, bro. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But we're here today to give you your flowers and to learn your story, right? Because like you said, we've known each other through battle rap for a long time, but like I feel like this has been a long time coming. I think that what ended up happening was that I started becoming inactive in battle rap as you were becoming super active in battle rap, and we didn't ever get an opportunity to really build at events. You know, but like I'm always keeping my eye on everybody, and something that I was telling Sly, right, was like I watch you guys show so much, I feel like I already know you guys, right? Like I know, I was telling Holden earlier so before we go live with this show, we do like an hour before the show where we like, if it's we watch people's battles, we watch their interviews, we watch their music videos, whatever we can, whatever, you know, we Google or YouTube search and pops up first. Holden will put that on. And so we were watching some blogs that you have posted, and you were talking about DNA's Tooth, right, and about him specifically stealing content from original content creators. And I like the first time I've ever in the middle of somebody's video playing, right? Because like we watch battles, music videos, interviews, all sorts of things, because we've had a wide variety of guests on the show, and I've never interrupted in the middle of somebody's content being played, but in the middle of you giving game and schooling motherfuckers, right? I had to be like, yo, Holden, pause, right, and agree with everything that you were saying and explain the whole, because you were explaining the whole like these weirdos online that say, oh, if you report content, that's equivalent to snitching, which is like the falsest shit ever. You don't know nothing about the streets
at all.
You just showed everybody that's from the streets that you don't know anything about the streets or how the streets work in any way at all.
Fact.
You know what I mean? And so like, and then the next video played, and I paused that one as well to agree with you. And I was telling Holden that it's one of those things where like I know I've been watching you guys for quite some time, and you in particular I've been watching for quite some time. But I've been watching you guys in the show for quite some time, and like I feel like I kind of know you guys, and I know for a fact that like I agree. I've yet to disagree with you on a character stance, which is like your character as a man, and like the stances that you take are just they're of the old cloth. You know what I mean? I know you've been around Swave enough. I know that you know the cloth that they always be speaking of, and that cloth that we come from is something that like it's rarer and rarer these days. And I feel like those of us that do come from that cloth are kind of like, we see each other now, and it's more of a like, whoa, I gotta exalt these people, because if I don't exalt this, then I'm gonna be allowing for more trash to be exalted. Instead of focusing on the bad, I like to focus on the good, you know? And so like, just, you know, as a whole, like I definitely like feel like I know you, even though we haven't gotten that chance to build. I feel like I know you from watching the show so much. And just personally speaking, like I told Holden, right, like I was like, I think 9 times out of 10 I agree with you on anything that stands on a person's character, or I would say 10 out of 10, because I agreed with everything I've ever seen. But then like also the save room for, you know, not always agreeing with a person in me is like, let's put it at 9 out of 10, right? But like 9 out of 10 might as well be 10 out of 10. You know what I mean? I have yet to see something that you say that I disagree with. I think that where I disagree with you on is like musical taste, which is fine. You know what I mean? Like I disagree with all of my family on musical taste. You know what I mean? Like I'm like the only one in the team that's like, yo, I love Puff, and I love these Littyyy rappers, and I love all the like money rap and pop rap and shit that like the rest of the homies are like, bro, what? Like I'm like heavy on that. But like,
you know
to
what?
me,
You got to be diverse.
I don't care.
You got to be diverse, and that's one of the things about myself. Like even as I got older, I kind of had to like stop being, I guess, like what they say, the old bitterhead. You feel me? and kind of embrace the younger generation a little bit. And don't get it twisted. There's some guys from the younger generations where I come across a song and I fuck with it and everything like that. But we from the cloth of albums, you feel me? Like when you listen to them DMX albums, them Nas albums, them 50 Cent albums, like the entire album is just like a great body of work that, like, let's say if you're going on like a road trip or something, you're going on your commute to work, you got something that you could rock out to during the whole trip. Whereas a lot of these newer guys, they albums just don't be that. Like it just be all over the place. There's no concrete story. There's no storytelling. There's nothing there that's like, you don't even have like the tracks EQ'd properly. Like it's so much stuff that goes into,
which is huge to us.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that. So you know, when a lot of these younger guys are putting out projects, you know, I'll skim through them, see what I like, but the albums do not be the same. It's not the same as what we came up with.
It's definitely, the vibes is different nowadays when it comes to album content versus like how it was back in the day. We're gonna get into more talk about music and all that shit, but we're gonna get into the show the way that we usually do, right? So like we do our introduction to our guests so that you know our history, right? So like me and Holden got together this way. 3 years ago, pandemic year 2020, everything shuts down. Similar to Sly, me and Jess, James, you know, we always are like fucking peas in a pod, and people have been always asking us to do like a group duo album, and we had like a mixtape we did at the beginning of like our run together, like back in like 2012, I think it is, or 13 or something like that. But we hadn't done something recently, and so we started working on a project. It was the Littyyy Bros project. Him, me, and Paulie Hustle, and we just started working on the music. I told Jess, because Jess is like an engineer, producer / rapper, and like I told him like, yo, I need you to fall back from everything. I just want you rapping. Focus on fucking rapping. Be an artist. I don't want you worried about mixing, none of that. And with that came me tapping an engineer friend of mine from Montreal that I know who does great engineer work. And because of that, I always tell people, Merker Miyagi, right? Merker Studio, shouts to him. He's like, he might as well be a New Yorker, right? Because like he engineers for a while.
Because my wife, she got family up there, and we go there literally every summer.
Yes, say word.
Oh, that's lit. Yeah, that's gonna be a whole thing on the show now.
I don't know if you're familiar with Olympic Stadium.
Of course.
But her family lives around there.
Yeah, that's fire.
It's about to be lit for you now out there. So the Merker, he's like I say, he might as well be a New Yorker because he works with a lot of people, but he don't promote nobody, right? Like a typical New York engineer, right? Because it's like if I promote one of you motherfuckers, I gotta promote all you motherfuckers. And I'm not co-signing all you motherfuckers. You know what I mean? I'm just recording you because I need to make money to feed my family. But I'm not promoting you motherfuckers, right? But when it came to our project, he promoted it and promoted it really well. And Holden, who was his Facebook friend for quite some time, took notice because he's like, yo, Merker is like, he's like, you were like me online, right? Where like he just lets it loose, all his thoughts, and just, you know, speaks freely. But he doesn't really promote anything that he's either worked on or working on. So when Holden saw him promote us, and it was like with a caption like, yo, I never been to New York and, you know, and partied in New York, but like if I ever were to, I would love to do it with the Littyyy Bros. And so Holden was like, wait, hold on a minute. So he went and checked out the video that he shared, and he was like, yo, this is all right. And though he then in turn checked out the album when it dropped and did like a fucking hour-long review on the album and like broke down every track. And I was like, mind you, he was already doing like album reviews, right? But like his own volition, like without me like asking him, he did this album review, and I was like, this is amazing, fam. So like, as soon as he does the album review, I'm like, yo, we should sit down and talk. And he was like, hey, I was just thinking about asking you that. And I was like, bet, so let's do that. So then we sit down and we interview, and after the interview, bro, I felt like I fucking went to therapy. I was like, why have I been in this industry this long and like, you know, doing this shit for so long? You get a lot of like, so when did you fall in love with hip hop questions that I fucking despise at this point in my career. I feel like it's just so unoriginal. And it's like, yo, we all watch Brown Sugar, bro. Like, you know, you don't got to do this. There's other ways to go about this, right? And so Holden's one of those that like went about it differently. And I was just like a typical New Yorker. I'm like, so we should probably start a show together. And I'm going to bring all my friends to the table. And all this experience that I enjoyed, all my friends can have, right? Yeah. And so here we are. We are on now episode 59.
Oh, this is 60.
60. Episode 60. We've been going for a year and a half now, or almost 2 years.
We almost at the same number on Let's Chop This Fable. We at I think
you guys put in work.
59 is our next one, I believe.
You guys put in work over there. Yeah, so, and Sly was empathizing with the like, yo, when you get to these numbers, it's when people like us all kind of respect each other because we know the grind that goes into getting to an episode 60. You know what I mean? Like it's super not easy to get here. You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
So that was like our origin story, right? But now the rest of this interview is going to be your origin story. So Holden has his questions that he likes to ask, but I like to cut them off like the typical New Yorker I am and ask you right from the outset. Why don't you tell the people who you are, what's your name, where you're from, and then where are your parents from?
Okay, So my name is No Mercy, Trap New York shit, NoMercyTv.com. That's my website. I'm from Harlem, Colonial Projects. If you're not familiar, if you know Polo Grounds, Rucker Park. That's my stomping ground. That's where I'm from. Still be out there every once in a while, visiting family and friends. And yeah, in terms of me, I got so many hats, man. Blogger, rapper, cameraman, editor, league owner. Like, I done did a little bit of everything you can possibly do. Like, especially in battle rap, I feel like the only thing I haven't done is battle. Like, I've made diss tracks about battle rappers. You understand? So I kind of dabble in, just do a little bit of everything. And one of the things about me, I just follow a strict moral code. Like you was talking about, that cloth and everything like that. Like my mom's, she raised me by herself. She's from the Bronx. She's from Washington Avenue, like 1420 Washington Avenue.
Hey, I know exactly where.
Yeah, we used to go to Claremont Day. That shit used to get shot up crazy.
You're right by she's right by like 3rd Ave in Claremont, which is Claremont Park and
like all of my other family, all of her friends, my godfathers, all of her family is from there. So we come from kind of, a certain cloth of like, we had the right people around us and, stuff like that when I was growing up. So that's kind of where I get it from. You feel me? So that's pretty much,
so your mom is from the Bronx, and what about your, like, is it generational? So like your family, right? Because like I was telling Sly, right? Like us as a people, right? Like we usually migrate either from the South or from the Caribbean into the North, unless they were like, early on fucking bucking the system and getting their way up north type shit. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? As far back as I know, in terms of like, I want to say my grandmother's grandmother, I believe she's from VA. Because my uncle, he still got a crib down there that he stay at. So yeah, I would say my grandmother's grandmother, she's from Virginia. And then I guess everybody after that moved up, to New York and to the Bronx. We got some family that's from Staten Island. We had some that moved out to Queens, and then like my immediate family, like my immediate aunts, uncles, cousins, they're all from the Bronx.
Word.
Yeah.
Okay. Nah, that's dope though. That's dope. So it's like same as Penn. A lot of the New York homies, when we speak, it's like my family's been here for, same thing with Sway. It's like, yo, I mean, he got his father that moved to Detroit, right? But like, it's like my grandma was here in Harlem. My great grandma was here in Harlem. Same as Penn. It's like my grandma was in Brooklyn. My great grandma was in Brooklyn. So it shows like an early migration from the South into the North. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
that's
like you guys essentially are these are the families that built our neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Back when we weren't, even though, it was the North and things were supposedly, better than the South, right? Back then in the 1920s and the 1950s and 60s, things were still, we all know what it is, what time it is. So like your family, his family, Penn's family, Sway, these are families that built up Harlem, that built up Brooklyn, that built up the Bronx.
You know what? I never looked at it like that, but you're right.
Nah, yeah, you're absolutely. Right. That's exactly what it is. You guys' families are part of the thread of this city type shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's important. All right, Holden, get cracking on your question.
All right. So yeah, I got a question. It's a bit of a story. As you can tell, they're always stories. So it starts out with my girlfriend. She's washing the dishes one time, and she's got her phone out, and she's playing that Black Eyed Peas song, that I got a feeling. Ooh. She's vibing, she's dancing.
Oh, okay.
Love that shit.
She's doing her thing. And I look at her, and I'm wondering, when in the fuck did this song become chores music? Because, like, if you really think about this song and run it back to, like, 2010, this is that middle of the night celebration. Everybody's having a wonderful time everywhere in the world. And then, a decade or so goes by. The song doesn't change at all because it's a song. But we change so much as people that the relationship we have with the song goes from celebration to I'm doing some boring shit and wish I was celebrating, so let's put that music back on. Let's turn up to like fucking sweep the floor. And like that's just kind of the natural evolution of stuff. So you see the little ones, they be out there with the drills and whatnot, and they don't even know that that's what they're going to be doing dishes to in 15 years. They don't even know it yet. And they don't even know it that when we come across that music, it's like it just skips the line. It goes straight to doing the dishes to that shit because we're not really, in that phase of life no more. It got me thinking about the relationships we have with music and the stories of us as the participants of this, and how more often than not the story seems to start at this like adolescent phase where people start to form their identities. So to be like, yo, when I was 12, my first favorite rapper was this, or I started writing when I was 11, and there's always somewhere around that age. And I started realizing, yo, that's not even the beginning of anybody's musical journey, right? And there's a good chance that when you came out of the hospital, there was some sound playing in the room, and your little baby self was absorbing it. And I know that like the stuff from when you're young matters, because I can remember being like 5 years old up in Montreal in the little apartment, and my dad's got all these gray boxes, like the amp and the preamp and the radio and the tape deck, and the wires go into the little ghetto home surround sound system. He busting his little Led Zeppelin tapes and shit like that during the daytime, and the nighttime though is straight like the club music, straight from the clubs of Montreal, all that 90s techno shit. My mom, she was more into like, the discos and the love songs and the Disney stuff and all that kind of crap, plus the radios and all this. And it just created this whole soundscape of music and influence that I had no control over. I had no control over it. I was subjected to listening to all of this, especially because that's what was around. But it hit me heavy to this very day. So I was wondering, Mr. No Mercy, if you could bring us back down to being the youngest No Mercy you can remember being, and tell us a little bit what it sounded like to be you. But keep in mind that most of us don't know what you mean when you feel that "nah, I mean" moment kicking in.
Okay. So, at my youngest, I remember because I like I said, I grew up in colonial projects. I was living with my mother. It was a lot of us in the crib. It was my mother, my grandmother, my grandmother's cousin who was disabled. He's blind. And my two uncles, right? And one of my uncles, he was like, and R.I.P. to him because he passed away about 2 years ago. He was a huge NWA head, like, and he was one of those guys, like he was like into the karate flicks. He was in the hip hop heavy, like he just had a whole bunch of cultural influence. So it was he would be playing karate flicks all the time. He had turntables and he had a whole bunch of vinyls and records and stuff like that. He used to just sometimes just set it up in the house. Like he didn't DJ or nothing like that. Just used to have it just to have it. And that was like his escape or his way of just like dealing with life, just set up the turntables, turn on some music and just be in the house, just DJing and stuff like that. Yeah, and NWA, I remember that being real prevalent. A lot of West Coast. He was real heavy into West Coast gangster rap.
That's dope too, for like you to have somebody in your home, right? Like, 'cause we know, right, from being from this city, right, that usually, especially back then, people from our city did not play any music that was not from the city when it came to hip hop.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You know what's crazy? My mother, like, she's one of those people. She used to be outside heavy. Like, she really outside in the trenches. Like, she used to always take me out with her to different, like, let's say my aunt's having a house party, and mind you, these were like weekly. So when I'm going to those functions, that's when I'm like in tune with the radio. So, they just blasting Hot 97 or WBLS or whatever was, the popular thing at the time. And you're just partying, they just drinking and smoking off of whatever's playing on the radio. And that's when I'm hearing like the stuff that's like more mainstream. You understand? But
right.
When it
comes so back then, though, sorry to interrupt you, but then that means that you were listening to you were growing up, you remember NWA, but then at the spots, they were playing the radio. So that means you were listening pre-Hot 97 to New York City radio.
Yeah.
Because Hot 97 wasn't around back in NWA days. Like, they didn't come out until I think, if I'm not mistaken, right after Illmatic, like somewhere between Illmatic and Ready to Die.
I'm born in '88, so I want to say around the '90s, like when I'm like 6, 7 years old, like that's when my mother's really like taking me out to all these different places and shit like that. So he probably just had the vinyls from back then, and then when he moved, he just brought everything with him that he had collected from the years, because he was the one, he had crates. You know, the crates full of the records.
Word. Yeah,
my uncle was one of those guys. You feel me?
Yeah.
So he used to have the crates full of the records. And so I'm in the house, I'm getting that experience, and then when my mom's taking me to the spots, I'm hearing like, the radio and what's going on there, and hearing the local stuff and shit like that. So getting a little bit of everything, like the party vibes and hearing the R&B and stuff like that. So like I done had cassettes, I done had Usher, I had Usher, I think it was My Way on cassette. Boys to Men, remember the album that had Mama on it? I had that on cassette. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? So it was a couple of joints that, my music was all around me all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. So it wasn't a day that went by where I wasn't hearing it.
I'm like, at that at that point in time, were you interested in making music, or was it more you were a fan of it?
More of a fan. Right, definitely. My interest in making music actually didn't come until I was older, like probably, I want to say high school, or when I left high school. Yeah, I want to say when I left high school, that was more so when I wanted to start making it. But before that, I didn't want to.
You know what I'm curious about? What was your, like, back then, right? Before you, because like Holden says, right, with that opening question, it's one of those things where, like, we always think of like when I think of like music and like my passion for it and all that shit, it comes from like Ready to Die was the first album that I attached myself to as a human being, period. Right? Okay. Like that age when you get like, I have my own thoughts. I'll press play on my own music, God damn it. And I listen to what I like, right?
I got one of those albums.
But before that, what I was going to ask is that before then, right, there are like songs that your parents play that like you kind of like for me, one of the songs that like I would hear on the radio that my parents would like fuck with heavy was Melissa Morgan, Fool's Paradise. Paradise, that Jay-Z ended up using for a Can't Knock the Hustle remix. And also Lisa Stanfield, I think hers has Been Around the World now. I can't find my baby. I don't know when, I don't know why.
If I had to name a staple song that was like that, it would probably be This Is How We Do It.
Word.
That would
this
be the
is how we do it. Which, by the way, still knocks.
Yeah.
Knocks. Still gets played at the barbecue.
I went to listen to it recently just to see, like, okay, does it still have that same effect? And I was like, oh yeah, this joint's still rocking today.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, you might as well, right? You already said you have an album. So which one was the first album that you fell in love with? Like the way that Ready to Die is for me, which album was that one at that young age for you?
It was DMX, and then there was X.
Right,
man.
Right.
That to me, it's so much stuff in there that even to this day still holds up. Like, he got a record on there, right? It's called Make a Move, and the content of the record is him talking about just the life of trapping and, going out of state, seeing what's going on in the city, having to make a move and stuff like that. And I can relate to a lot of the stuff he's saying, even on like a battle rap sense. Like when he's saying something about niggas getting their weight up in here, but then going out of state. We did that. We did our events here and then went to other markets and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff in there that like I really relate to on just like a human level. You feel me? Like, forget street, forget gangster. There's just certain stuff you look at on a human level and it's like, yo, I really go through that, or I've been through that. So I want to say that was probably the album that I really like molded myself after, like just in
Yeah,
terms of a
plus
lot of the
that shit
principles and
was
modes that
like,
he was speaking.
cause you're like a year younger than me from what I can tell. So that shit was also like everywhere when we was
Yeah,
coming into that age. Like you could not avoid, like once Party Up hit, it was over.
yeah. And listen, I used to
Yeah.
listen to Hot 97 on a nightly basis. The top 8 at 8.
Yeah, yeah,
That
nah.
shit was number one
That
for like a
what
year.
what you were growing up in, and I mean back then, 90s, and even into like the early, I would say like maybe 2002, 2003, around there. Like Hot 97 was like a staple to the city, and like people don't understand. Like we like even I don't know how you feel about Flex. I can't stand Flex, right? Like he annoys me.
Listen,
But
Flex
at the
to
same
me,
time, it's one of those things where like, yo, they what they did in establishing Hot 97 was unprecedented. And there
listen,
was nobody,
this is
we
what you
grew up
gotta
spoiled.
understand, right? This is what you gotta understand. And I definitely salute Hot 97 as a whole, because the
Yeah.
grasp that they have on the city, like, especially if you're a person who's outside, like, it's car radios, it's people in the parks with boom boxes blasting the radio. You can hear it, people in apartments with
Yep.
their radio in the
Radio
window.
on.
You
Yep.
hear Hot 97. You feel
Yep.
me? Now, what I say about social media is that social media gave us the inside look to like a lot of the people's characters. Like when you only knew Flex on the radio, it was just like, all right, that's Flex. He's dropping bombs.
Yeah, he was
doing this.
annoying with the things that he did, but it wasn't
was.
as annoying because it was
Exactly.
just the radio that you got.
Yeah.
So
But
you were just annoyed. You were just annoyed at him bringing it back 20 times. Like, nigga, if you don't let Jigga my nigga play all the way through, bro, I'm gonna fucking wild out, bro.
I remember one of the oldest records I remember him super bringing back was Jigga, what's my mother name? Like when that first dropped, remember how the beat plays before the song come on? He wouldn't let that go.
He wouldn't even let that go. No.
Let the record play. Like the hell.
Yeah, yo. We remember similar times. I have friends, right? Like you know what time it is, right? Like when you not a phony, you end up having friends for many, many years. You know what I mean? So like I have friends that like were my OGs when I was 16, right? And we had a trap spot out on Prospect, and the exact street is unnecessary to mention, right? But like we were out there.
I really want to know because I was working
186, I believe. 168. I think I always get those confused. Something around it. I'll tell you this: if you know Prospect from Terror Squad and where he lived, we lived next door, like in the same building. We were next door to him on the same floor. So I can't remember if it was 186 or 168. You know what I mean?
I was working in a family shelter over in that area. It was between. I know it's between. All right, you know where the 2 trains stop on Jack. I think it's Jackson.
Between Jackson and Prospect.
And look, the 6 train stops at Longwood.
Right.
It was in that. It was like right up the block from the 6 train. So I'm familiar with that area.
Right there. Yeah, not too far from there at all. And so the homies, they were all my OGs, right? Because like they took me under the wing then, and so that's how I got all my name Dutch came from that, right? Where like they didn't let me they stopped me from buying weed because they was like, this shit is shoe polish. Don't bring this shit the fuck around. But mama raised us right, and we knew we still got to contribute. So what do I bring? Dutches, because that's what we were spoken back then. And then also because I was the young one, I was sent to the store like the young Doja that I had to be to get Dutches and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so then I end up being named Dutch when I'm trying to come up with all these names. And I'm like, call me Carnage Page. And they're like, we're never calling you that. I don't know what you think this is. This is never happening for you, buddy. Like, and all the names that I had, we just gonna call you Dutch, nigga. I keep bringing the Dutches, Dutch. Go to the store for the Dutch. And that's how I get Dutch. And so in the crib back then, there was a point when I brought a tape one day through. And the tape, like I came to the crib excited, like, yo, I recorded these 3 songs. They're so hard. And it was Flex playing Jigga My Nigga, and then him playing Dead Prez's Hip Hop. And then, no, it was Stretch and Bobbito playing Dead Prez's Hip Hop. And then Eminem's I Never Meant to Give You Mushrooms, Girl. I Never Meant to Bring You to My World. And yo, they were not in that order. Jigga My Nigga was the last one, and Flex did the annoying thing where he dropped 20 bombs. And even though like I had a pause tape, you know, it still caught like one too many jiggas. By the time it got to the jigga, which was the 3rd song of the 3, they ejected my shit and they flung it. They flung it out the fucking because you know they dead flung it because niggas is cruel and shit. You know what time it is? Like, get the fuck out of here with this shit. Yeah. And they was like, get this shit the fuck out of here. Now, to this day, whenever I catch up with them, I talk so much shit about those 3 songs, and about how right I was and how wrong they all collectively were. You know what I mean? Jigga My Nigga was one of those amazing songs back then. But Flex did bring it back like a million times, and you know,
just hear somebody like car going by, you hear that burr, 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 like you just hear that, like, and that time was.
It was quintessential New York for that era.
Yeah,
quintessential New York. Yo, so before we start moving on to like older ages, right? I want to ask, like, were you in Holden? You want to ask, I guess, after me about the breakdancing and what you in the writing, but like I'm gonna ask him about the comic books, cartoons, or video games. Like, what were the any of the 3 hit hard for you back then, and what were the ones that hit hard for you?
All right, so growing up, I was big on. Okay, so I remember before elementary, in elementary, when I woke up, so I used to wake up at 7 o'clock. The 2 things might have been 3 things I would watch. It would be Dragonball Z, Pokemon came on, and then Yu-Gi-Oh came on. So those are the 3 that I was watching as I got ready for work.
Rawest lineup.
I do remember Sailor Moon coming on. I wasn't watching that shit. No.
It wasn't bad, bro. It was not bad. And the girls talk to you if you watch Sailor Moon.
I just couldn't because of, you know, what it was. But
it's different for us in New York City. There was no, you know, once you were doing shit like that, and it meant you had to live a different life, and you was fighting all the time. Man. And you didn't want to bring that unnecessary smoke on yourself.
Fair.
Yeah, exactly. So it was that, and then when I came home, of course we all ran home, watched Power Rangers, and then I was watching a lot of
Power Rangers was lit.
I used to switch back and forth between Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network. So all of the Fairly Odd Parents, Jimmy Neutron, Rocco's Modern Life, and then on the Cartoon Network side, I remember you had what was it? It was like Looney Tune Adventures or Tiny Toon Adventures. Dexter's Laboratory, Scooby Doo when they was kids. You had Toonami. They used to show different anime and stuff like that. Like, yeah, cartoon wise, definitely.
So you were a heavy cartoon watcher. It's fair. Yeah. It's fair to say that you were not shy. And did that stay with you throughout all the years? Do you still fuck with like anime or animated movies or cartoons or something like that?
The only thing I really watch now is Dragon Ball Z. Of course, that's like my number one.
Stuck with you all them years.
Yeah, that definitely stuck with me.
It was like people was mad obsessed back then. Like when I say mad obsessed, I mean like it didn't matter where you was at. If you were at that age, the whole world watched Dragon Ball Z. Then the recesses and breaks was recapping, and then like it wasn't YouTube yet. But the internet was starting to post clips and shit. So you could find the clips of the battles and shit like that. And so like it was unavoidable.
Yeah. I think you two are closer in age.
Yeah. I'm 87, yeah. He's 88 from what I remember.
Yep.
Yeah. So you know what's crazy about me? Because I didn't have access to the internet because we from the trenches, like we ain't have no computers in our crib.
Fact.
So a lot of people knew about certain things before we did. Like I remember talking about Dragonball Z at a point where like we're probably on the Freezer or Cell Saga, and they know about Broly and Majin Buu and all these other people that's like far down ahead of the line. And I'm like, who are these people? I haven't seen them yet. So I was a little hating a little because I'm like, damn, I can't even get to see what everybody else is seeing.
You know? I literally say the same story when it came to battle rap. I felt we come from the trenches and we didn't have the internet like that. I didn't have the internet like that growing up. I didn't get the internet until I was a grown-ass fucking man and I could afford to pay my own fucking bills and I could fucking pay for some goddamn internet. But like, I remember like when going from like battle rapping at Fight Club and like there being really no outlet to battle rap at, right, in between, to like Sarah popping up on me one day and being like, yeah, grind time. And like showing me Soul Khan versus Cortez and me being highly offended. Like, who are these people? Who do they think that they are? I've been in the streets of New York City battling all this time. Where do they get this right to like even think that they lit? Like they gotta battle me. They can't even be battling each other. They both have to battle me. You know, and having this mentality of like, yo, where are these people coming from? I didn't know that there was an underground scene in fucking Indiana. I thought that everybody
people don't know that about New York. Like, I think what makes New York different from so many other places is that like socially we evolve faster. So we're getting more information because we're all on top of each other. So it's like certain places where you might grow up in a house and like your closest neighbor is a mile away. You're not seeing you're not having human interaction on a regular basis. But a place like New York, you're having human interaction the second you walk outside your apartment.
As soon as you walk outside your apartment, you know what societal norms are in that area that you live because you see it all around you. Facts. Oh, everybody's wearing Nikes or Jordans.
What I was using that to say was like, we don't think we the man where we at just because like we like, hi, we done battled everything over here. We done, you know, we know everybody. We done known people. We done tracked over here. We done, you know, been in the shootouts and stuff like that. So you think just being a man in your area is the thing. And then when you have a situation like that, like, yo, Cortez and Soul Khan, who are these guys? Then somebody put you on and let you know, like, yo, these guys been doing their thing on their side where they. You feel me? So I think that's what it is. With,
also,
you know, when it comes to New York.
When you think about New York, it really is a place where everybody seems to open their debut stores and a lot of stuff be happening in New York, regardless of
music. For the first time, it does.
It's like,
yes, absolutely.
I would say maybe LA gets a couple things, but it's not like New York. Like if somebody's flagships things and it's like at a tier. And like growing up, right? Like now it's not like that, but shit was like what 6 months back. Like you guys would get a movie and we would have to wait like half a year for Canada to get the licensing to that movie and then hope it was at the theater by you, because back in those days
that's how it was back in the day.
Had different movies, right?
Shit.
But
that's
so
how they
it was
used to control media.
I because like I do this interview thing on my own with a lot of Montrealers, and there's this common story where if anybody had family in New York, they would come down to New York, they would tape shit off the music videos, they would get a CD or some shit like that, and it would literally take like 2 years before we would find out about it back in like the 90s and shit. Over the 2000s with the internet, it closed. But man, like it's really like that. So like in a lot of ways, New York kind of earned that situation. I'd say in the modern era, it's maybe a little different. Back in the day, totally made sense.
New York, and that's one of the things I pride myself on, like, especially being a New Yorker. Like, I love being a New Yorker. Like, when I see, like, the joint I just posted yesterday on Facebook with the Timberlands and the Air Forces fighting each other on some like, I
Street
love
Fighter
those
shit,
people. I see
I love that
like,
shit.
They fighting, hitting each other with bacon, egg, and cheeses and stuff like that. Like, I love that New York has established themselves as having that identity. You know, how many other states can you think of that have an identity like that? Like that they're actually known for all these different things, like the train stations and, you know, the clothing, the different things that we do throughout the day. Like, Yeah, you don't have a
Music.
lot of places that really have that. So, you know, I definitely love that about New York.
Maybe
No,
California.
there's other places.
Florida's
It's
got an
just
identity,
not
but it's not the same.
as
It's not as like
Yeah,
pronounced.
Florida man. Florida man is what you think of when you think of Florida, and then like Disney World and like shit like
Well,
that.
no, they got
You
like
think of
beaches,
Cali.
alligators.
Cali's
Y'all don't have alligators up there.
Yeah,
That's
right,
true.
right.
But look, how many places do you actually see a million memes a day where you're like,
Nah,
yo, this is some New York shit? Like, you don't
yes,
have anything like
I'm
that,
not even
really.
gonna lie. I probably wouldn't
nah.
know it's New York shit. I would look at it and it would just look like a regular meme.
Mm,
Cause sometimes I'd be listening to New York rap or I'd be looking at New York shit and it don't be making sense to me, even though I know English and I understand some New York culture. But nah, it's a whole different. It's a whole different vibe. Like, I mean, and what's crazy is it looks very similar to Montreal, but it's not nothing like Montreal.
Yeah. Oh, especially, you know, having been to Montreal, like Montreal, what I like about it is like because like I live in Queens now, right? So where I live at in Queens, it's like real quiet. Like it's a quiet neighborhood and it gives you like a slower pace than what the city does. And
Mm.
what I like about Montreal is that that's the same vibe Montreal has. Like Montreal has its pocket. Like I we had went to a strip one day that was like I want to say nothing but like restaurants and bars, everybody dining outside. I forgot where exactly it was.
There's a few of
But
those.
yeah, but when I went there, it gave me Times Square, you know, big city kind of
vibes.
vibes. And it's like I like that y'all have it separate and it's not so close together like how
Facts.
New York is. Like New York, you'll
That's a good
have
way to put it.
yeah, New York, you'll have a lit strip, and then right up the block or 3 blocks away, it'll just be quiet. Like it's just you know, but in Montreal, it's real separate. Like I remember we had to drive for a little while to get to you know where we had ended up going. I remember it was a movie theater over there. It was a bunch of places. I gotta when I get the chance, I
Nah, but
gotta
if
remember the
you're by
rest of
the Olympic Stadium,
Yeah,
you gotta drive to get to fun shit because you out east.
yeah.
So it's like,
Like we've been to the harbor. I think
yeah,
it's like
the old
a
port.
place with yeah. It's I know the big churches over there.
Yeah,
Oh, he's talking about the place that I went to with the cobblestone road.
yeah, the old port.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's old Montreal.
Old
That's like
Montreal. Yeah, that's what they
that's
call it.
like it's like a mini Notre Dame.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. We had went over there. Like so, we definitely been to a few places around Montreal, but that's what I like about it.
Montreal is nice. It's a nice city. I like
Yeah,
Montreal more than I like Toronto.
yeah. Toronto's
I
just
haven't been to
big.
Toronto yet, but I want to go.
It's big and boring, but I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's if you know the right people, you will have the time of your life in Toronto. And I don't know the right people, so I did
Yeah,
not have the
I was
time of
gonna
my
say
life.
now that I know that you be up in Montreal, you gotta Holden will link up with you
Yeah,
next time that you up there,
Right.
and he'll you know what I mean.
yeah, just let
Same,
me know.
you already know what time it is. You know that's the beauty of this battle rap shit is like how far it's taken us and how like I literally tell people all the time that I feel like I could go anywhere in the globe
Facts.
and like not even on
Be
some
sure.
bragging weirdo shit, but like sometimes, ironically, once in a blue moon, it does happen that I'll be in another country and I'll get recognized. And also, like what mostly I'm talking about is the fact that I can get in touch with somebody who will know of me or my family, somebody in my family through battle rap because battle
Yeah,
rap is
Facts,
everywhere at this point,
and we
and
definitely.
yeah,
that's a beautiful thing.
I mean, I somebody
yeah.
heard of
Battle
you
rap definitely
in my
it,
circle.
it definitely united us in a way because you gotta think about it like we on these cameras, we on footage hosting battles that have millions of views, 300,000, 200,000 views. So you gotta think those views are coming from all sorts of different states, all sorts of different countries. So these people kind of look at us, I feel like, as like D-list celebrities almost. Like we may not have the same notoriety as like the actual celebrities. We not getting the same money. We some of us still got to keep jobs and shit like that. But in terms of just people recognizing us and seeing our faces so much, like they, you know, become familiar with us on that level. Like we're almost D-list celebrities in a sense.
It's absolutely like that.
Big fact.
I mean, somebody congratulated me for this interview because you were that significant to them that they felt the need to congratulate me for having the opportunity to talk to you. So like when you're not there, other people see you, especially people that like do know the culture and history and do dig a little deeper. I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming you started your YouTube in 2014 because of what your tag is. But man, since then, you really do have, I think, the most titles of a person that I've talked to in terms of unique things. And you make music. And like you do it all. Like there's, like I had to put and more. I ran out of space. I was like, I'm sure there's more shit too. And it's like,
and there's more to it, yeah.
And then like at that point, the influence you have behind the scenes and people mentioning your name is like you never can measure it. Like you never fucking know. Like it's weird. Like people will walk up to you in real life and be like, "Yeah, watch your content," and you're like, "Why don't you comment or like or no nothing?" They just want to watch it and wait till they see you so they can tell you they watch it and shit. So like that's what life be really like, and it is pretty global, and especially with battle rap and like. I mean, your shows and everything you're doing now is with so many different people. It's like the reach just pops.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And one thing I could say, it started early for me. You know, I don't know if y'all wanted to get into, you know, the battle rap side of the story just yet. You know,
let's finish up on lineage.
Okay.
Let's march through childhood into like teenage, right? Because like we're essentially right there. Like
so you're into like cartoons and stuff. But did you also do some stuff like, you know, dancing, or were you up to any other kind of performancing, or were you kind of like, did you draw at all?
Nah, I can't really say I was into much else. I was into video games. I was definitely into video games. And you know what's crazy? I think my mother got me into video games just because like she was a person who grew up in the Bronx during those wild times. So she kind of wanted to keep me inside. You feel me? Like she wanted to find me something that could keep my attention and just keep me from, you know, not wanting to run the streets all the time, even though that eventually ended up happening. But it happened.
It's always gonna happen.
It happened when I got a little older. But for the time being, you know, I was Sega Genesis, Sonic 2, you know, those kind of games like that. That was, you know, the type of stuff I was playing. And then, you know, when PlayStation came around, she got me one of those. So I didn't really, in terms of like
Altered Beast.
Oh, that was a classic. Oh my god, you took it back with that one. But I didn't really have any extracurricular activities I could really say. I know one thing. School was crazy. Like, you know,
where'd you go to school?
All right, so I'm not gonna hold you. I got kicked out of school like a motherfucker. So my first school was PS46. That's actually the school that's in the neighborhood that I grew up in. That was the school that all of us went to. Growing up, it was two different projects next to each other, right? So I'm from Colonial, which is on 159th and 8th, and then right next door is Polo Ground. And we were beefing with them like for years, right? So mind you, the projects have their own beef, and then we're all going to school together. And that used to be a whole different ball game. Like at recess, people meeting up and fighting and all these big brawls and stuff like that. And I actually wound up getting kicked out of there because I had beef with a kid from kid from Polo Grounds named Vincent. And it eventually got to the point where it was like families going at it outside of school. You know, right. So I wound up getting kicked out of there because I actually wound up just walking up to him one day and just punching him in his face at recess. So they wound up giving me the boot, and I went to 133, right? That's over on 131st and 5th Avenue. Now, Flacko, you remember Charlie Clips versus Lux, right?
Yes.
Remember dude that brought out the paperwork?
Oh.
In the third round, he brought the paperwork out.
I remember when the paperwork got brought out. I don't remember the dude.
That dude is my man. Like really one of my right hand people. His name is Stayback. And it's crazy because like when you look at his story now, like there's a lot of his story that ties in because you know his father was allegedly down with the Harlem lynch mob, right? So that's one of them groups that was around like during like the Al Poe and Rich Porter days and stuff like that. And I knew his story before it, you know, became a public, like in terms of like, Charlie Clint's pops snitched on his pops. Like this was something I knew about early. You know, he was one of those people where, let's say, like, if we doing, you know, the back and forth jokes, and then somebody say your mother, your grandmother, if you said his father, he was gonna punch you in the face for it. Because his father was locked up at the time because of, you know, the shit with Clint's pop. You feel me? So he was one of the people that I met when I was going to 133, you know, and me and him actually used to be like, we used to get into fights all the time with each other. You feel me? But now he's like, you know, one of my closest friends and shit. But he was one of the people I met.
That's a New York. That's a classic New York story.
Yeah, exactly.
Classic New York story. So I fought him. Then we ended up becoming great friends.
Yeah. So I spent 2 years in that school, and then I was so bad in that school that I remember 6th grade used to be the end of elementary school, right? So they were not trying to let me finish out my last year. Like they kicked me out, and I went to this school, PS 194. On 144th between 7th and 8th. And that was where I finished 6th grade. And then after that, I went to a they call it the Renaissance Military Leadership Academy. Basically, it was the school where they sent all of the problematic kids.
I was going to say, I remember back then when they were still naming academies, schools academies, but they were like, this is where you're sending all the bad kids and shit.
Yeah. And
Bronx Leadership Academy. Bronx Leadership Academy had no leadership, okay? That shit was all fucking the worst of the worst the Bronx could produce.
Yeah. So, this military joint I was in, right? They had a whole bunch of ex-military and sergeants and boot camp instructors and stuff like that working there. So, I guess it was supposed to be like a reform school at the same time. Like they would have us doing drills and stuff like that about face in school during recess. But the problem with that school was, and one of the reasons I was so known in there was because I had already been kicked out of 2 other schools, right? So in elementary, I done been to 3 different schools. I done been with, you know, all of the baddest kids and all that. So you take all the baddest kids from all the schools, you put them in one school, they're gonna know each other. So for us, it was like, this is reset. Y'all just put us all together to just have us on chill time. You feel me? So that's what that school was for me. And
I remember I ended up at Young Adult Leadership Academy, Yala.
Where was that?
Right, that was on, I believe it was 96 between like Last Avenue and I think it was First. I think it should be the East Side. I think that was the East Side. Yeah.
Okay, because I remember hearing about that. I heard of Bronx leadership. I'm familiar with Cardinal Hayes, and like, trust me, I done been with people from all sorts of different schools because even high school, I was in a different high school every year. Like I couldn't stay in a high school for nothing. So my first school was Park West, right? Okay. Down on 50th. We actually had beef with graphics. Graphic Arts was right up the block on 50, I think 51st and 8th or something like that. Park West was on 50th and 11th or something like that. So,
pretty hilarious how all the art schools all had you weren't like, oh, you would think like, oh, those are the art school kids. In other cities, they're like, oh,
you're saying you're gonna take the most sensitive people ever, put them in a room, and expect it to be no drama? Because every artist I know today that's growing up be a little sensitive is what I'm trying to say.
All the art schools in New York City were like out here, and even like the smart schools. Like I remember Brooklyn Tech and Bronx Science, and like even the schools where like the good kids was at had still plenty of rafferty happening.
Crazy, when you look at it now, New York had a really shitty school system. Like that's the only
thing. Bro, I found out some of y'all had 90 fucking kids per class, and that's unfathomable to me because people my age, bro.
90 is crazy. I would say
90 is crazy. I had
No, I think it was
30,
Dama was telling us
something.
that in certain places
Yeah.
it really got that big. So I'm not saying all of it, but like we consider 28 to be excessive. You know, like.
Yeah, and see, most of our classes in New York, we topped out at like 30, 31 if you was like a late entry that just got to the school or something like that.
Yep.
But most classes topped out at that 31, 32 mark. So
32. Yeah.
That's still a lot of people. That's like 4 more kids per teacher.
It's a big class. It's a big class.
And then like that's every class. Yo, my high school I got blessed because it was like the shitty school that was where all the gangster kids went till it got considered too scary, and then it just every year less and less people went. So by the end of it, like my class had 20 people in each. There were 2 classes per grade, like 20 people per, which is amazing because you get a really good education, even if like your school dies. But like, the class size makes a huge difference, and then less time is spent with each person, and then
that's what's happened in New York with a lot of those schools as well. That's why they're like closing them down because of like parents not sending their kids there because they don't want their kids in public schools because they remember going to that school, and then they put their kids in some other school, a private school or a charter school, and the next thing you know, the public school doesn't have enough like students to justify the doors staying open, and so the school's got to close and shit. And now you got like this amazing like building that's like just abandoned in the middle of the city. That's just like what?
Yeah,
you can turn that into a club.
And that was the thing, like because New York City, like I said, we grow up so fast. Like we was young, thinking we was grown already. So that's why like high school was chill time for us. Like half the time I wasn't going to class. Like I was going to a friend's house, going to a girl house, something like that. And in 9th grade, that was the year that I actually got introduced to dealing with women. So once that first experience happened,
went from comic books and cartoons to fucking beers and bitches. I already know.
Oh my god, that it was over after that. So, I wound up. My mother actually put me in a program, right? It was called No Child Left Behind, and it was to get you in a better school. So when I left Park West, I actually wound up going to Frederick Douglass, and FDA is a real good school, like academically. I had 2 cousins that actually graduated from there, had great reputation and everything. One cousin, she was on the basketball team. Her crib, nothing but basketball trophies from FDA. Like a whole bunch of them. Tall joints, small joints, awards, all kinds of shit. And I basically went there and squandered the family name. Like I'm there cutting class, I'm walking through the hallways without my uniform on and my shirt outside of my pants and all kinds of shit. So I was there for maybe like a year and a half. I wound up leaving there. I wound up going to a catch-up program. I spent like the rest of 11th grade there, and then my senior year, I wound up in this school called Unity. It was down on Canal Street actually. It was not far from there, and basically what happened was I wound up dropping out.
That's nice though. You went downtown. It's always good to once you get downtown and you start going downtown, you're like, there's a whole new world in my own city, in my own backyard. Like and you start like seeing possibilities and meeting new people in all sorts of other environments. That's
and you know what's crazy? Throughout my years in high school, especially like being in Park West and being in Unity, I was running into a lot of guys from other boroughs, like people from Brooklyn, people from Staten Island and the Bronx and Queens and stuff like that. So we used to always, it was real diverse in terms of the population. And that's how I really got to know people from different areas so early, just because like Manhattan, like if you think about all the schools down there, right? Park West, Graphics, you had King, you had Watley, you had Washington Irving, you had Norman Thomas. People from all of the boroughs is coming to Manhattan to go to school. So you kind of are, starting to meet a lot of different people just, just on the fly, just, yo, where you from? You from Brooklyn? Like, and you start traveling, probably go with them to chill, like to cut school and shit like that. So that's pretty much what my high school years were, and when I got to my senior year, my guidance counselor was telling me that in order for me to graduate high school, I would have had to do a whole nother year plus summer school plus night school. No.
Yeah, they were
I'm
telling me the
dropping out
same thing.
and I'm getting my GED.
Fact.
You know,
Fact.
and
Same
you know
thing I
what's
did.
crazy? Being that I had already been in my senior year, I already had enough information to where I only took my GED test once and I passed it.
Same here. All I needed was the one time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And
it wasn't like we were dumb. It was just one of those situations where, like, yo, this is what we in New York City, we were in the era that we were in. It was still like, you know, I mean, I imagine that it's still like that for the young cats nowadays. It's different.
Yeah.
We look at it as different, but they're growing up as New Yorkers and they're lit in New York still.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And they litter than ever, if anything, with the drill scene being so on and popping. So, like, I can only imagine that they're doing the same shit
thing
that we were doing,
like,
except it's more, it's turned up more, you know?
I remember Park West is on 50th, right? When we cut in school, we go in the Virgin Mega Store on 42nd, Toys R Us on 42nd, going to the basement playing games and shit like that. Like, I remember we was literally the reason they put signs on the door that say kids can't be in unsupervised until after 3. Because they know if you there like 1 o'clock, you most likely there cutting school and just chilling and shit. You feel me? So those
they had them signs up at wild spots.
Yeah, exactly. So those is what those times was for us. You know, just running around the city crazy, causing trouble. I remember the few times I got caught by truancy. They had to take me home or take me to school or whatever.
What's truancy?
Like truancy is basically the
school.
The police that catch you cutting school and they take you.
Sometimes it's like a specialized police force that's dedicated to catching kids that cut school.
I forget, yo, that's a non-mean. That's a non-mean, actually, right there. I forget that New York City is. I mean, I don't think it's just New York City. If I'm not mistaken, that's why Kamala Harris is so hated, because she essentially was, I mean, on the law side of it, right? But like essentially forming like a truancy police in Oakland, which is why so many young black kids got arrested. And that's why, and she, as the district attorney of her district in Oakland, she was the one that like enacted those policies, which was why it was viewed as like, yo, Kamala is not one of us type shit.
And you know what's crazy? I remember getting caught by truancy one time and actually being taken to a facility and getting processed, like with a whole bunch of other things.
Does that mean you get like a record for skipping school?
Pretty much.
Yeah, you could have.
Like you get a criminal record for skipping school.
Yeah,
here's the thing.
Sure
I don't remember if it was actually a criminal record. It might have been like a juvenile record.
Juvenile, exactly.
They definitely
hold on.
It's on record somewhere. It's on record
for
somewhere.
Skipping school.
No way were they like detaining us, getting our names, and not storing that information.
No, but like
somewhere.
I'm just like I could see how like you get in trouble with your parents or your school for skipping school. I don't know what the government got to do with that shit.
Yeah, we like I said, where we were getting, it was no different than like, let's say the police went and just rounded up a whole bunch of people. Let's say they had a raid or something and they brought a whole bunch of people in a squad car, bagged them up, took them to a facility, had them online, processing them. That's exactly what truancy was. We
wild.
We got picked up, as a group, taken to a facility, fingerprinted.
You were put in a paddy wagon. It was all the same shit. It was like early. It was like training, like it was like training wheels for like get ready. This is how we're gonna treat you. Like and once you're of age, type shit.
When I think about that now, that's fucked up. Like for real.
It is fucked up.
Like getting a criminal record just for skipping school.
Right?
Like, are you serious?
Right? Like that's some shit that like is normal. Like you're supposed to skip. All I did was skip school in college. Like when
how about trying to figure out why these kids are skipping school? Why don't kids want to go to school? How about y'all figure that out instead of trying to make it
okay? But it's more like who they made a whole term for it, playing hooky and shit. Like they got words for this thing that people just do at every age group and every social class in every country, and they made it illegal.
But
on some weird shit.
You know,
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I get all the
America.
systemic reasons how it could come to be. Like, it's not lost
Yeah.
on me. Sometimes,
it's
though,
crazy.
it's baffling to consider. Because, man, I don't think it was illegal to skip school. It was more like, yo, my parents were not going to be thrilled and the school might suspend me or some bullshit.
That's the prison, the prison of, I mean, the high school to prison pipeline that they talk about in like modern like news, and like when people are talking about, you know, like that's what they're talking about essentially,
It was
because that's
fucking, like,
New York City's always like you said, it's always the ground zero for a lot of shit.
but like,
So like shit like
it's just
this,
wild,
it's
though.
ground
Still, a
zero
specialized
for, you
police
know.
force to track kids skipping school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
You got to imagine the
Unfortunately,
complaints that they got to make that happen. Like, there had to be enough complaints from concerned parents and all kinds of
yeah.
bullshit. Like,
And not even just that. It was also probably businesses because, like, all right, we from the trenches, right? So we know, the laundromat that got the arcade machine in it, the
Yep.
bodega that got the arcade machine in it. Kids would be there all day, just dropping quarters in, just playing games, just to, stay out of school. And the time that
Mhm.
we actually got processed and thrown in paddy wagon and all that, that was what happened. We was in a spot for too long. I remember it was this big laundromat. It was on 8th Avenue. It was like 132nd or something like that. And we was just there chilling. And it was one point that I said, like, yo, I think we should go. Like, we've been here a little too long. The people that run the place, they watching us a little too hard. Like,
Mhm.
get up out of here. But they was like, nah, there ain't nothing to worry about. They cool. Like, they gonna let us rock or whatever. And then maybe about an hour later, police came walking in. And they put all of
wow.
us in the paddy wagon. They took us somewhere. I forgot. It was probably like uptown Manhattan or something like that. I remember us getting on the highway, but they took us up there, lined us up, had us do our fingerprints and all that other shit, and then they took us home afterwards. But
So they
yeah,
drop you
that
off
was,
at your mom's house after, like, here you go. Your son was skipping school. Now we've
yeah,
got a record.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
crazy, man.
That is
Yeah,
Crazy.
literally insane, and I don't think people are that aware of it.
yeah.
Especially if y'all think it's normal, because that's wildly not normal to me.
And see, we grow up in those circumstances, so we think it's normal. When
Yeah.
now you look on social media, and social media done made us, all closer as a society. So like you come to realize, like when you see a post about something, and you look under all these people, they're like, yo, that's a thing out there. That's a thing out there. Like you see where they from. They from like Nebraska, and South Dakotas, and Floridas, and all these other places that just have completely different ways of living.
Mhm.
I even got, I don't even want to say locked up. I was just taken to a precinct. But 16 years old, I was coming home on Valentine's Day, right? I just finished taking the girl home, and I was coming back out to the train station. Now, mind you, this was on 125th. I didn't have my ID on me, right? So it was a train coming downstairs. New Yorkers, we trying to run and get the train. So I just ran through the gate. And by the time I got downstairs, the train took off. So I turned around and started walking down the platform. The cop tapped me on my shoulder, like, yo, come with me. And I get handcuffed and taken to the precinct. And the problem was I was 16, but I didn't have my ID on me. So my
Right.
mom had to
That's how
come.
they always used to get us. But it was always so like, to me, I was like, yo, that's so like, bro, like we're fucking kids. Why would we
Yeah,
have ID on us? Like we didn't
yeah,
have ID back then. Like it was still not a thing. My
Oh,
nephew is like just turned 20, right? Like he was like last year 19, getting his fucking birth certificate, getting his social security
that's
yeah,
card, getting his
wild.
ID. Why? Because you don't need that when you're a teenage kid
Yo,
and
I
you're
had
like
that
living at
shit
home.
because they gave you cheap bus passes if you were a kid. So they made everybody in the high schools get this like special ID pass that would double up as your bus pass. So
oh
like,
yeah, we had the bus pass.
so
We
you,
didn't
but you
have
had to
our
have that
Yeah, it
ID
didn't have
with you.
ID on it.
So you know what I mean? There were
Hmm.
separate things. You had an ID, but if you were caught using the cheap bus pass without the ID and you looking a little too old, you were gonna get in some trouble there. So
Hey, yo, Dutch, I know
they
you remember those, the green and the orange Metro cards.
What? The old school Metro. Well, even before the Metro cards, I remember when I was a fucking teenager, We had the fucking paper cards with the like little fucking
Yeah, y'all had
holographic
those.
sticker and shit. Holographic sticker and shit.
Yeah, man,
That's
that was
old New York
crazy.
shit. I remember tokens, B. I'm that
Oh
old.
yeah, I
So
remember tokens. So tokens wasn't that like right after the tokens was, of course, the Metro cards, but I remember the tokens for
yeah,
like a short period. I remember that.
yeah,
I don't
You
remember
know,
yeah.
tokens.
so
I know what they are because of
that's
TV. Because half of the TV movies that are in New York, you get all this New York random shit that you learn about.
Yeah, yeah.
So you said,
yeah,
I think though earlier, just because we're at like a high school point and you're late in high school now, but if I'm not mistaken, you said you started to desire to make music in late high school, and so I was wondering if you
yeah.
could tell us a bit about that.
So I actually had an incident that I got into one day. It was actually in my projects. I got into a fight basically because okay, so me and this kid named DeAndre, me and him, that was one of my closest friends. Me and him used to just, be together in the projects, chilling, shit like that. And me and his little brother was kicking the elevator door. And this lady was in there, right? She was in there going upstairs, and we were just kicking the elevator door, just, fucking with the elevator or whatever. So her son, I'm not gonna say his name, but her son, wound up finding out about the situation, right? So when I come outside later, I basically he's outside and I'm coming up to my man DeAndre's building. Mind you, they live in the same building. And he just tells me, like, yo, come in. Now in my mind, I already know what the issue is. So I'm just keeping it moving, like, no, I'm not coming nowhere. Like, what's the issue? You feel what I'm saying? So he basically just walked up to me and just hit me. And we wound up getting into, this big fight or whatever. And that was like one of the first times like I really felt like on some it wasn't just the fact that me and him got into it, but it was also the fact like I found out later that my man DeAndre had he got pressed and he basically was on some yo, I ain't did it, I ain't do it. No Mercy did it. You feel me? So it was kind of the thing of like, oh, so I got in this situation because you couldn't like hold me down type shit. Right. So that mentally like put me in kind of like a dark space. So that's when I got to like starting to write. Like I had this crazy rap that I wrote and I don't really remember it, but it was like some gruesome shit about, wanting to shoot the nigga and shit like that. So that was my first time actually like putting pen to paper and actually starting to write. And to be honest, I felt a lot better after I wrote it. So that's when I started thinking to myself, like, okay, maybe writing might be a way to get, some of this anger off my chest or all these feelings or whatever, whatever I'm going through at the time. This might be a way to kind of vent and kind of, get those things away. And so that's what kind of started me to, want to start writing music and everything, start creating.
That's dope. Were you like showing this to people, or was it more for yourself?
You said what?
Were you like showing it to people, or was it more like for yourself?
It was more for myself, but this also leads to one of the reasons I got kicked out of another school, the catch-up program I was in 11th grade. So I uh when I wrote it down, right, it was in a notebook, and I wound up taking that notebook with me to school. So my classmate, Fable, the one who brought out the paperwork in the Touch Love battle, he was being an asshole and he was going through my book and he seen the rap and he was rapping it in front of the class. And the teacher asked him, like, yo, what is that you're reading? And he told him what it was. And I wound up basically getting suspended for it. I'm like, what?
Oh shit.
You got suspended
Yeah,
because your man's read your rap.
Another thing. Yeah,
exactly.
another like that's racist. Now, like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like looking back, it's like, yo, how did we allow for shit like that to happen? It's like that's racist. You can't do
yeah,
that. Like, what's
Fuck.
wrong
yeah,
with you?
yeah. So yeah, it was more so for me to keep to myself. And that was the main thing at first. Um all right, so when I leave high school, right, at this point, I'm feeling like, okay, my mom, she's not on no bullshit in terms of like being mad about me not graduating high school. Like, she cool with me having my GED. She just like, yo, all I want you to do is either go to college or get a job so you can start paying some bills, right? I wasn't against that because me, I've been a hustler like from early on. You feel me? Like even as early as middle school, I was packing bags at the supermarket in my hood. You feel me? Like we had a C-Town over there. So I used to pack bags there. And then the summers that I had in high school, Dutch, you remember summer youth?
Yeah, of course.
I was doing summer youth every year.
Some
So
of you programs was like
fact.
the bread and butter of the hood, man. I got
Yeah.
to Yankee Stadium and like wild like opportunities that I probably wouldn't have gotten to see if I wasn't in the fucking summer youth program. For
Yeah.
real.
So I was doing summer youth, and then I come back to the block and still be packing bags. So you know how nowadays it's a thing to have like multiple streams of income. I was doing that back then. You feel what I'm saying?
Facts.
So that's why it should be easy to understand like why I got so many hats now because
Right.
it was instilled in me from early on. So when I got out of high school, right? When I was doing my GED classes, I ran into a field person from the college that I wound up going to, which was ASA down on 34th Street. He was like, "Yo, take this placement test, see where you land, and we can see about enrolling you into the school." And he asked me, I was like, "Yo, I'm currently going to GED class to prep for the GED." And mind you, I wasn't in the GED prep class for long. I was only in there for maybe like a month or two. Um, so I did so well on the placement test. He told me, "Yo, give me all your information. I'm gonna start the application process for you to get into school. I know you're gonna pass the GED test. Come to me as soon as you get your scores, and then we're gonna put you in school." And that's how I ended up going to college.
That's dope.
On on top of going to college, I was also working on the side. So now I'm not going to functions as much. I'm not outside as much. So I'm like, yo, what am I going to do while I do have downtime to like keep my, to keep me interested or just keep me from being bored and shit like that. I'm spending a lot of time in the crib now. So um, that's when I start with the music shit. You feel me? And life is still going on. I'm still having, family issues, certain issues with friends and shit like that. So now I'm like, yo, all this music that I'm doing, maybe I should start recording it at some point. So at one point, I wound up taking out a loan from the school and using that to get me a computer. Um, my first, the first thing I actually used, like the basic sound recorder that comes with the computer. I was using
Yeah.
that shit. Like I had a little MP3 player where I would play the beat in the background and be rapping over it, and have the sound recorder on the computer.
Yeah,
And that was
I
my
feel you.
first. That was my first introduction to actually recording. Calling myself recording music. You
Yeah.
feel me? And then throughout my journeys, I start learning about actual recording software like Audacity and Mixpad and shit like that. And Mixpad was my thing. That was the program that I was using. And also around this time, I start discovering like websites and forums and shit. Right. So one of the key places that I was lit first was a website. This is 50, right?
Right.
At one point, they had a forum, and they forum used to go crazy. Like it's basically like what social media is now, just discussion threads. So what I was doing there was like it's no different than what I do now. You know how I'm honest with my critique and how I feel about things, right? So think about it. I'm on a 50 Cent website, and when 50 or somebody from G Unit comes out with something that I don't like, I'm making a post like, this is trash. Like, what is this? You feel me? So I start getting so much comments, like, no bullshit. My thread used to always have like 1,000 comments minimum. Like, just
Word.
everybody going at me, people
Discussion.
arguing with each other. Like, yeah, it used to be crazy. So, at one point, when I started doing music, you know what? Let me tell you, YouTube was before that, and let me tell you why. It's a battler by the name of Nova Greasy. I don't know if you heard of him. He battles on
Yeah, Nova agrees. He was on the draft league.
yeah, that's my guy. He was the first person that I went back and forth on like some diss record shit with, like in the early YouTube days.
Word,
Like so,
word.
I kind of got my training up from him. You feel me? Just learning how to record, learning how to be consistent. Like that was all training for me. Now, in terms of material, I'll honestly say that he beat me. You feel me? He had better material than I did, but I think my consistency overall is what started making people gravitate towards me a little bit. You feel me? So after that is when I start, the This Is 50 thing, and I'm, being honest with my critique. People seeing that I'm a rapper, like people would go to my page and see that I'm a rapper, and then the next day, niggas got a diss song up about me. Like,
Yeah.
you got beat by Nova Greasy and blah, blah. So now I'm like, oh, so you a rapper trying to challenge me. So now we start going back and forth. So that was how I got accustomed to the whole just recording process and just putting out music on different platforms. Like I remember it was something called iMean or something like that at the time. I started using that. And from there, I'm like, yo, I'm doing all these diss songs. I'm starting to get producers hitting me up and shit like that. Like, yo, I see you make music. Let's work. And I was kind of scared at first because I'm like, yo, I never wrote an original record before. So I'm like, you know what? Let me hit one of these producers and actually try it. And I did it. I forgot the beat in the song that it was. It wasn't something that's out right now. Something I probably got on my phone. And I did it, and I was like, yo, I could really start writing original music, like making music over original beats. So that's when I started doing that, and then I actually had two producers that was like my go-to guys. Like one was named Insane Sick. He would make like darker kind of instrumentals, like the joint that he was playing that came on 100 Deep. Insane Sick actually produced that. And my other producer, his name was Big Pete. He was from Austria, I think. And he used to make like Dr. Dre-ish kind of beats. You feel me? So those are like my go-to guys when I first started doing the music shit. So that was my whole introduction into like, making music and everything.
So basically 50 Cent's social media before social media, that was more lit than MySpace.
Give me 1 second, my fault.
No, you good.
No worries.
Yeah, essentially. That's what he was saying.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna run and use the washroom. I'm gonna be right back.
You good.
My fault, y'all. I'm back.
Right here. Yeah, nah. He was just like reiterating, right? So like it was essentially like the 50 Cent, website, that really got things going in the direction of like, yo, I got traction behind this shit. There's like a feasible possibility to do this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then from there, what happened? Like you kept on doing that, or
so I'm over time, right? I'm trying to really put a timestamp because it was YouTube, it was a This Is 50 thing, and I still was like dabbling a little bit on YouTube as well. And it was one point, like let me tell you, I was one of the first people that had monetization on YouTube. You feel me? Like in terms of I was doing freestyle over industry beats. And I think where I maxed out might have been like, I think I might have maxed out at like 10,000 or 15,000 subscribers at one point. And basically YouTube starts with their copyright shit, where they just start taking your shit down. I guess that's when the music industry started cracking down and stuff like that. So I woke up one day, I have a whole bunch of emails, right? And it's like copyright. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I start, reading them, and I'm like, this is a thing now? Like you can get copyright. So eventually, I got so many that they actually, like I got too many at one time. And first they took the monetization away. I'm like, all right, cool, that's no problem. I, still have my fan base or whatever like that. And then they restricted me from uploading. I'm like, Now I can't upload. Then they took my channel down. I was like, oh, come on, man. Yeah, I had so many of them shits up, and they just struck my shit down, and I was pissed for a minute. I was like, damn, and I was really like, you know, just enjoying having that extra income and, you know, shit like that. But it was a learning lesson for me, you know, and that's another reason why I started doing the original music, because I'm like, yo, if I can make original music and actually, you know, start to, you know, put out albums and stuff like that, then I'll be good. So the first thing I was doing was my mixtape series. It was, you know, No Mercy the mixtape, like that's what it was called. I did 4 volumes. No, I did 3 volumes before I actually did my first project full of original music. And it's crazy because, like, you know what people are doing now with like DistroKid and TuneCore? I had came across TuneCore back in those days. This was probably like 2010. And I had dropped my album independently. I think I sold probably about 400 copies. You know, not no crazy numbers, but it still was enough to where I was like, yo, this is, you know, you can actually start to build a salary and a nice living wage off of just, you know, putting your content out and shit like that. So I started to go that route. I put out another volume on my mixtape, but this was all original material. And I just kept doing music for a minute. I started to move on, you know, because then after a while, now social media is starting to become a thing. So now it's starting to be the Facebooks, the Twitters. Twitter was really big when it first broke, because there was nothing like it at the time. You feel me? You could just put your tweets in and just go. You feel me? And just check on it later. So I wound up getting a following on that, basically doing the same thing, just, you know, putting my feedback out there, being honest about different shit that was going on. And I'm trying to think. Because I transitioned from being a rapper to doing the camera shit. You know, now I'm you know, editing. And so I came across this artist, his name is Gleams, right? And he was one of those people that was like me, like, you know, stated his opinion, honest and shit like that. And he actually had got brought on stage at a Joe Budden show around that time to start freestyling. You know, so what he wanted was, he wanted to get his first music video done, right? So at this time, I got some little handheld Panasonic bullshit. I probably paid like $60 or $70 for it. And I shot his first video with that, and that video was horrible. Like, if I was to watch that shit now, that shit is so trash. So when it came out, it got mixed reviews, because, you know, when you just starting to do something, you got the people that's gonna be, you know, nice with the feedback, like, oh, this is good for a first try, whatever. And then you got the people that's the experts that know video, and it's like, nah, this is trash. You got to step your shit up, etc., etc. So me, I'm not one that gets emotional about that. I'm the one that's gonna say, okay, y'all think it's trash. Now I'm gonna step my shit up, so the next time I come out, y'all not gonna say this shit is trash. So that's what really got me like a real camcorder. It was like a Canon T3i or something like that. And that's when I started doing, you know, visual, like started really doing music videos for like people in my neighborhood, artists that I come across in Harlem. I'm going to their shows and recording their performances, doing interviews with them and stuff like that. And that's basically how NoMercyTv comes about. You know, because now I want to build a platform for up and coming artists to start, you know, being able to get their shit off. And even beyond that, I'm noticing when I'm a rapper, like how many people I'm meeting on the internet that just are just out there rapping and don't have any type of backing. They don't have any identity. They don't have any, you know, ways to get their stuff out. So I'm like, yo, I want to be that for them. I want to, you know, even the artist that's dissing me, like I want to be the one that can help them get their shit out and, you know, start to actually push them, you know, just to get big opportunities. So I'm trying to think. So I start NoMercyTv, and mind you, throughout all of this stuff that's going on, I'm still outside. Like I'm still, you know, with my peoples and shit like that. And my bro JR, who was somebody I grew up with. Like he was right next door. He's Dominican. I used to go to his house to watch all the wrestling pay-per-views and shit like that. Like, that's the type of upbringing we had. So he was actually more in tune with the internet at the time. So now mind you, right? And this is where we transition to battle rap, right? So in terms of my battle rap history, right? I'm coming from the Smack DVD era. We used to go to 125th, get the DVDs, come back to the crib. It's like 30 of us in the crib, all watching Mook versus Nails, shit like that, right?
Smack DVDs, that's it. Yep.
So we also, we might be outside, we might be talking, discussing the battle, breaking it down, debating and shit like that. And eventually, battle rap makes the transition from the DVD to the internet. So because in that time of the transition, I didn't have real internet access, I missed that first wave of battles. Like I caught maybe like the tail end of grind time. You feel me? But I missed Lions then. I missed the key points in grind time that I should have.
All the upcoming leagues that were out at the time, which were not bad. Like When Animals Attack had dope talent. I took a lot of talent from When Animals Attacks. There were leagues all over that was like some pretty okay leagues. Like it was like, yo, you guys got some talent here, Like
Hold on, let me get some light. But so yeah, I had missed kind of like that whole first early wave of battle rap. So the first battle I actually seen when it came to like the whole internet age and everything was Math versus T-Rex.
Word.
That was the first one I actually came across because I started visiting World Star at the time. You feel me? So Math versus Rex was the first one, and then I'm like, okay, so battle rap still has a platform out here. It didn't just die out, with the DVDs and shit. So then I'm still not on the internet as heavy. I'm going on the internet probably once a week. This is like MySpace days and shit like that. I go once a week, probably check my MySpace, see if I got friend requests and that kind of shit. You feel me? And then I start venturing over to YouTube more, and I start to get into the battle rap side of YouTube. So the first battle I seen in the YouTube era was, I want to say, DNA and Sue Surf. That was the first one I seen. And then when I started to see like, oh, there's battle rap events, like people are actually gathering and going to watch battles and shit like that. And then I'm starting to see the grind time battles and everything else that was around. So I'm like, oh, so battle rap really has been existing this whole time, and I've just been missing out. So yo, no bullshit, I shit you not when I say I really went and I watched everything. Like whenever I had free time, the first thing I wanted to put on was a rap battle.
Word.
So I went and watched all the grind time stuff. I remember, I think Street Status was out at the time. Black City was out at the time, if I'm not mistaken. So I was just watching a little bit of everything. And my man JR, he was like, yo, it's a lane for people to actually discuss battle rap on the internet. It's like, yo, you have the camera already. Just let's set that shit up somewhere. We just sit down and we talk about some of the battles. So because like we were doing it already, we just weren't doing it on camera.
Right.
So we started doing that, and I'm trying to think what was the first event we did was Summer Madness 1. Summer Madness 1 with Surf and Shine battle, Hitman and Hollow. Like we had watched a lot of the URL stuff together, like leading up to that particular event. And then our first video was a prediction blog for Summer Madness 1. Like based off the information we collected on all the artists, we like, okay, this was going to win what battle, this the skill sets they got, et cetera, and that's how we started breaking battles down. So after that, we went to the event together.
So you guys, so your first battle rap blog out was like you covering Mook versus Iron.
No, not that one. That was Summer Madness 2.
Oh, that's right.
Summer Madness 1. This was DNA and
Calico and
Math.
Right. Right.
Yeah, Calico and Math. I think Tech Nine and Midwest Miles is on that card. Clips and Averb, DNA and X Factor, Surf and Shine, Hitman and Hollow. I think that was it. I think that
Word.
was it. So we went to that event together, and then for a while that just became our thing of just just breaking battles down, setting the camera up. We actually going to events. You feel me? So
Yeah.
just when I say what I say about the weirdos, like y'all not even going to events. Y'all just doing this shit from the comfort of your homes when we actually was outside. Like we was putting feet to pavement. And we
Yeah.
was standing at those, like how all these events are quick now. They like 5 or 6 hours. We remember Summer Madness feet.
It's funny that we consider that quick
Yeah.
because of what we've been through.
Like I remember Summer Madness 1, man. That was my first time going to a battle event. So I think I might have left my crib like I want to say I left my crib 11 in the morning because my man JR was like, yo, this event gonna be packed. Like it's a lot of, popular battlers on there. So I left my crib like 11. I got down to Webster Hall maybe like 11:40, 11:45. And they didn't start letting us in till probably like 4,
Mm.
3 or 4 in the afternoon. And then we was there until 2 in the morning.
Mm.
You
That
feel
shit's a
me?
job, yo. That shit's a bad job.
Yeah. So I was just like, bro, like that shit was
We
different.
talking about that's essentially like 14 hours and probably like, yo, a majority of that 14 hours was spent on your feet.
Yeah.
Like there was no sitting. It was
Oh,
just
and
on
let's
your
not forget, they didn't serve food in Webster Hall.
Nah, they didn't serve no food. We didn't have food. We didn't
Man,
even
and I remember being mad because I remember the waters being $5. Like the dollar waters that you get from the store, $5. I'm
it's
like, oh my
$5.
God. Y'all niggas are well again.
See there
And
for
it's crazy because like
8 hours
I was
in the
like, yo,
event, buying $5 water is hungry and with
yeah,
sore legs. And
yeah.
especially
And
if
it's
you
my
didn't
it's
know
like
ahead
Sore
of
legs.
time.
listen, if you watch the Hitman Holla versus Holla the Dawn battle, right, you will see that they're not getting a lot of crowd reaction. That's because a lot of people started leaving. A lot of the crowd that was still there was tired of shit from
Yeah.
being there all day. So, and it's
That's the
crazy
same
because
thing that happened with Mook and Iron, right? Like the
same
crowd was
exact thing.
just like the
Same
crowd was
exact thing.
just done, man. They were just tired. And they were in no mood for Iron to be fucking trying out no new shit. Like,
Yeah.
what is this shit that you up here
Oh
doing
my
right now, Brody?
God.
Like
Yo. And it's crazy because after the first Summer Madness, yo, a lot of us was like, yo, we're not doing this shit again. Never again. And then Summer
came
Madness
right
2
back and
comes
did it again.
around. And it was just like, yo, what the
uh,
hell? You feel me? Like, damn, I ain't fixing. And it was the same thing. It was the hour-long breaks between battles. Smack trying to get Henny to the stage. Like, yo, start these battles. We came here for battles. We didn't come
yeah,
here for all this other extra shit. You feel
yeah.
me? Those were still amazing experiences. Like,
It
nothing.
was too much of a show sometimes. But at the
Yeah,
same time, you know what? You end up getting the gold of like at Madness too, right? No, wait. Oh no, now I'm confusing them because I was about to mention Calico and Lux, and
that
that
was
was
Madness too.
that was Madness too, right?
Yeah.
There you go, exactly. So like you get the like
Woo!
the showmanship of like Lux coming in with a fucking casket and like
Yo, let me tell you. And I had to recently start to think of like all of the stuff that I was noticing that night. Like when you see Lux bring the picture out, right? I remember because I was up on the balcony. I had a VIP ticket. So where we were at on the balcony, the DJ or whoever the guy is that controls the screen, I remember Lux coming up there at one point and talking to the guy. So now when you look at the whole thing that happened with, him putting the picture up on screen, I'm like, oh, he
mhm.
was plotting,
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
trying to get the picture up. And I was like, yo, that whole thing, just how that played out was just
and
crazy.
and and that's really right. That's just that goes to show Lux's understanding of um just being an artist. Like, yo, anybody could talk to the sound guy. Like, it's not like he went through like smack or anything like that. He just knew where to identify where the sound guy is going to be, and then go and talk to the fucking sound guy, the video guy, the AV team. You know what I mean?
Like,
and
really
make sure that he's like, yo, yeah. And they were probably really happy to accommodate, because Lux is also like fucking fucking nice guy. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm pretty sure he went and was really nice, and like they were like,
he
absolutely not a problem. You want us to do what? When? Now we're a part of your show? Like, yeah, absolutely.
Look, hey, yo, Lux hit him with the, yo, what's up, handsome? How you doing? And all that good shit.
Listen, facts.
You know what I mean? So that was just a legendary night. Like, if I could definitely say I got my money's worth both events. You feel me? I was there for Charlie Clips versus X Factor. You know, that was in one of the side rooms in Webster Hall, but that was when Charlie Clips rapped that long ass round and the dude fainted on stage and all that. Like, you know, I was there for that.
I mean, you also, so then at that point, right, you're starting Trap House, no?
Trap came a little bit after, right? So the way Trap New York came about was I'm starting to get recognized from the blogs, and mind you, this was completely new to me, right? Because I'm used to getting stopped on the street from, you know, all the people that I was in school with, and, you know, things of that nature. But you know, a few years pass, you grow up, you know, you on adult time, you just going to work, going to school, et cetera, et cetera. So that kind of life kind of slows down a little bit. So I'm going outside while I'm, you know, doing my blogs and shit like that, and I'm starting to get stopped by people. People like, yo, I seen your Summer Madness blog and, you know, shit like that. Mind you, because blogging wasn't a big space at the time. I was getting early. A lot of views. Like, you were early. Doing 5,000, 6,000 per blog and shit. So you have a lot of people. Like, even though that's not a lot of views, when you
predated all the like performative acts, right? So like you preceded what's his name? Angry Fan.
Definitely.
You preceded Angry Fan, and then and if you preceded Angry Fan, I look at Angry Fan as like the beginning of like that, all that stuff before DNA's 2, and before the even further. Right, like
I'm trying to think of who was around at the time, and I think Mickey Fax and Gracie, you know, Gracie that run Guerrilla Warfare, I think they had like a radio show or something at the time. But in terms of blogging, I didn't really know of any other channels that were doing like battle rap blogging. Like, I don't think Chris Unbiased was around at the time. I might be mistaken, because this is 2010. But I don't remember Chris being around. I don't remember Angry Fan being around. I think Jay Black might have been around.
Word.
He might have. You feel me? So, and it's crazy because just seeing the trajectory of his career and where he's at now is like, it's a great thing, because I feel like we might have started around the same time, and just to see like how he's elevated. Of course, I'm not on that level, but I still took another path through battle rap. You know,
I think it's equally commendable. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody's path is to be the same, but like each one is just as valuable. You know, and you carved out a super big lane for yourself. That it's like, think about it, like just from like being a fan of this shit. You know what I'm saying? And being like, yo, I see something. I want it covered. I want to participate. And you put your money where your mouth was.
Yeah, that's a fact. And so when I'm getting stopped in the street, it's plenty of people that starting to ask me like, yo, you ever thought about doing a league? Like, I'm getting artists that are stopping me in the street like, yo, I rap. I want to know your opinion and stuff like that. So I'm like, a league? You mean do like what Smack doing? Hell no, I can't do that. I can't afford to book no Webster Hall. Like, how would I even get Webster Hall rented out to do a battle rap event?
Right.
So I would never thought something like that was possible. And so at the time, me and Bill Collector start building a rapport, right? And they had Trap House PA. out there, you know, in Philly and all that. And I'm like, yo, I'm thinking about starting the league, but I'd rather do it in conjunction with people that I'm already fucking with. So
Right.
me and him, we like, yo, we gonna do Trap House New York, you know. So
Word.
when I put out the announcement blog about that, this is where my bro Peso steps in. You know, Peso, he's the other half of Trap New York. You know, me and him running together. I was already running around with him doing camera work. You know, he's mostly in the music industry, so he would be getting up with different acts. You know, especially people on the come up. And our first actual piece that we did together was the first ever on camera interview with Smack and Beasley. Like at this time, this was, I think this probably was 2010, around the same time. People had only had one or the other in the interview.
Right.
Nobody had Smack and Beasley together at this time. And Peso was the first one to really put that together. Now, the way it came about was he had a cameraman that was gonna film it for him, but he wound up having some emergency shit that he had to do, so he couldn't make it. So Peso reached out to me. And he was like, yo, I know you do camera work and video and shit like that. I got an interview with Smack and Beasley. You want to come film it for me? And that was like my first real interview media kind of, you know, situation that I did. So when I put out the announcement that I was starting the Trap New York, he had been looking for something battle rap wise to be a part of. So me and him wound up making that happen. And then, you know, it's pretty much history from there.
And so that's your battle rap league, right?
Yeah, yep. It's called the Trap New York now.
I'm just asking it. Like, I'm aware that what it is, but because not everybody that may watch this is going to be fully aware of what that means.
Yeah.
So in the sense, you basically started. Where do you guys like located?
Well, we're definitely based in New York. We've had different venues throughout the years. Our most famous one was probably Funkadelic Studios, which was in I believe it was like on 40th, between like 8th and 9th or something like that.
Right.
But since then we've expanded to doing events in other areas. Like we've done Atlanta, we've done Connecticut, we've done Ohio. Those would be like the main three that we've done. We've done Jersey as well. So
Word. Nah, so y'all expanded even more.
Yeah, we following that old grind time blueprint.
Word.
I remember all them divisions at the bottom: the grind time South, the grind time Midwest.
Yeah, nah, I always used to, like, no slight to like upstate or DMV, but like I always felt like, yo, it was more important. It was like, yo, why we don't have a league in New Orleans? Like I know we as a people run fucking New Orleans, and there's like popping ass city down there. There's got to be battle rappers there, like more so than be worried about like having a league, like, you know, in places like that. I was always like, yo, we need leagues in places like this. You know what I'm saying? Like other places that are like us. Tell us some of the battles that you hosted, that you put on, that are like some of the artists, some of the battle rappers that are like somewhat known now.
Okay, so if I'm gonna run down definitely the resume battlers. So what we pride ourselves on, right, is bringing up new talent. You know, and we what's crazy is we did take a lot of blueprint from older leagues that were around, like the street statuses in the block cities, because if you remember, you know, URL wasn't the start. URL is never the starting point for a battle rapper.
Right.
Even from the early days, it was never the starting point. They always got their talent from other places. So we wanted to be one of the places that people feel like, all right, you could come through here and then possibly, you know, get put on URL or RBE or another big platform. So we kind of adapted a lot of the stuff that like the block cities and all those leagues were doing. And so some of the more notable people we had, Excel, Dot, Gaddafi Green, Chris Doves, like these are all guys that they started on the Trap New York, right? But there's also other guys that came from other platforms where they might not have been elevating quickly,
and they came to our platform and got lit. So you have like Prez Mafia, J Murder, Show Off, Ash Cash, you know, just those different types of people that, you know, they came through.
Some big names.
Huh?
Those are like those are some big names. Those are some respectable names, yo. That's like to
Yeah.
be proud. You know what I'm saying? Like to be able to have had like a hand in not only like bringing up and breeding like Excel, right? But like to also have had a hand in bringing J Murder to like a stage that's gonna like help him elevate, you know, past where he had already started at, you know, like
Yeah,
those are like stripes to be proud of.
Facts.
definitely. And you know, it's definitely been a long journey, but you know, we just like being, you know, some of those people. Like we like being one of those platforms that like we could say somebody got their spark here and look where they are now. Like one of the biggest battlers right now, easy to block captain, right? One of his earliest important battles was with us. He battled Dot with us. You know,
Word.
and K Sean was in the building. Like it was a lot of notable names in the building at the time. And now it's crazy because at one point that battle probably capped off at like 5,000 views. That battle's at 100,000 views right now.
That's crazy.
You know?
That's growth. That's incredible growth.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing. With our eye for talent, we're one of the first platforms to see a lot of these guys, right? So that's why now
So where do you?
when we have a lot of these big battles that's like doing these crazy numbers, like you see we see the artists early on, they might move on, they might go to other leagues and you know make their rounds and you know try to get, you know, get on however they could. And then once they finally do pop off, people start going back and watching a lot of their older stuff. So this is why,
Yeah.
like, even with the Easy versus Dot battle, we done changed like the branding. We done changed the title on it, the thumbnail, just so it could be more modern and recognizable. So when people go back to look at it, you know, they could see, you know, where it came from and stuff like that. And that's one of the things we pride ourselves on. And it's great because it also continues to shed light to what we do over time. So between those 5,000 views and those 100,000, people are starting to see, wait a minute, this guy was on Trap New York back in 2014. You know, so clearly these guys are seeing something in these, you know, artists that a lot of other people might not have been seeing at the time.
So, where do you find the people before they become the people? So if you're where they go, just get started. Where do you go to find the people before they get started?
Well, it's a wide range of things. Like there's sometimes where we might see people on a certain platform and we might feel like, yo, this guy's fire, but they might be on a platform that's probably like struggling. The platform's not really promoting or pushing them, and we feel like, yo, we could probably, you know, do something for you if you down to, you know, take the opportunity. So we'll have moments where we reach out. Most of the time, I want to say 80% of the time, the artists are reaching out to us because, you know, the
Yeah.
artists, they're fans at the end of the day. So they're
Yeah.
watching their friends battles, they're watching, you know, some of their favorites. Like when we bring like the big names to the to battle on the cards, like we bring the Shotgun Shugs and the Daylights and, you know, shit like that. A lot of people, the whole culture's in tune. So they're like,
Right.
yo, if the Trap New York is doing this for this artist, they could probably do that for me. You know,
Right.
and that's when they'll reach out to us and, you know, we'll start to work with them and things of that nature. But it's really as simple as hitting us on social media. You understand? Just look up the Trap New York. It's easy to reach out to us. We not, you know, we don't leave you on scene. We don't leave you unanswered for weeks and shit like that. Like you reach out, you're gonna get a response. You feel me? And we're
Yeah.
gonna try to work with you to see, you know, how we can help you, you know, elevate your career and everything. You know, and that's just been our formula for the whole 10 years. Like we've never tried to compete with anybody. We've never tried to say, hey, this is what these people are doing. Let's do what they're doing to try to match their numbers or shit like that. Nah, we just continue to, our goal is always putting on talent. Like that's never changed. So we might change the way that we do it over time. You know, there was a time where people like, all right, so the process of battling a big name, right? Of course, big name battlers have to be paid to perform on your platform.
Right.
Yep.
But the best way to do it is to let your artists work, let them build up a couple battles on your platform, and let them do great in these battles. Not average. Let them actually show that they're ready for next
Yeah.
level. Like this is why Excel, he will always be the golden child of the Trap New York because he followed the blueprint perfectly. He did,
Right.
I want to say 3 or 4 battles. He showed that his pen was elite, and we was like, you know what? Let's get him daylight. Let's see if we can actually pull this off. Get him one of the biggest battlers in the game. And if you remember, Daylight had a slogan at the time. If you don't have my 500, I'm gonna clap this shit up. He was really, with his big name, running around doing battles for $500 in 3-round battles. So I reached out, and mind you, I already was building a rapport with him. I think I was playing like Call of Duty or something with Daylight, and I was like, you know what? Let me ask him if he would actually do a rap battle for us. And sure enough, he did it. And that's, how Excel got, his big name. So it over time, you start to see other leagues, and now anybody could just pay a name to battle.
Right.
Like, these leagues are not going through actual development process. Like, they see what we do and they think, oh, y'all are doing this for ticket sales, y'all are doing this for views. No, we're doing this because the artists done earned their way. They earned that shot to show that they're ready for next level. So let's see what they do when this big name is in front of them. But you have a lot of leagues that now anybody can just say, hey, I got this money. How can we get Shotgun Shug? How can we get Dot? How can we get XL or whatever? But the problem is you're not ready to stand in front of these guys just yet. So you have some artists that end up paying for maybe 20, 15 different big names, and they got all these names on their resume.
But they ain't excelled. They ain't excelled anywhere. Pun intended.
No.
You know what I mean?
You feel me? So we always it's like when everybody's going right, we going left, and vice versa. We don't want to get lumped in with the guys that are just doing the paying for name shit. So we say, hey, we'll go back to the ground level. We'll just let everybody continue working, battling each other on the lower scale until this whole phase of buying names or whatever goes away, and then we'll get back to, doing our shit.
Right.
And you've been doing that for quite some time because, right, like essentially you were the entire time busy. On the channel you have even Adi. Was that like fresh out of his situation or right before his situation or something like that? But like the point that I'm really
you talking about when he was battling on the track?
Yeah, he battled Cakes, I think, right?
Yeah, he battled Cakes. He battled a few people. His first battle with us was this dude named Detox. Like, he actually main evented our first event.
Word.
He main evented our first event.
Detox Detox was like,
yeah, you know Detox.
I couldn't stand Detox, yo. Something about Detox just rubbed me the fucking wrong way.
Nah, let me tell you, Detox used to have his ways, man. He used to be wild,
wild for the night. And he came to me with like no battles at all on the like resume, and I'm like, I'm gonna give him a shot, bro. But like, he would be acting like he was supposed to be headlining. I'm like, yo, you gotta put on better performances, bro. If you want to be headlining, like, you gotta be serious.
Yeah.
And that was like the beginning of like, the performativeness of the battle rappers with their personalities towards like the league runners. And I was just very like, bro, I ain't no league runner, bro. Like, I'm just here doing what Penn needed help with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, looking out for the family, like making sure that like if we out here, we're gonna be, same thing. That's why I understand, farming, and like finding the talent. And like, I remember I used to show up to like other like smaller leagues, like When Animals Attacks, with like a Yankee jacket on, like on some real like, yo, we recruiting, son. You know what I mean? Like for you coming to the Yankees, son. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
So, but I understand, you know, like, but I also understand dealing with motherfucking detox and shit.
Yeah. So he was definitely one of them first ones, like in terms of that whole experience, like, you know, and everything water under the bridge now, like we good. But so yeah, he battled.
And he's a good kid. I know that he don't mean bad. Like
Yeah, he's more so passionate than anything.
he's passionate. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and it's rightfully so. Like when you're passionate and plus you're like super confident in yourself, like, you know, so that's what it was. But so yeah, it was Adi Boom versus Detox. Um, then it was Adi Boom versus Skull, which we actually dropped on Battle Rap Arena's channel at the time. Cause Jesse was rocking with me heavy, and also Skull had just been on UFF at the time, so we kind of wanted to give Adi Boom that look. So we was like, "Yo, we dropped this on Battle Rap Arena. This would do a lot of numbers." And
Word.
I think
And
at
it
the
did.
time it might have did like 20,000 or something like that, which was good. You
Good.
feel me? So and then after that was when Adi Boom got his PG.
Word.
You feel me? So he had definitely came back. I want to say like maybe once or twice after that. You know, did a couple battles. He did the Cakes battle. He battled Dot. Um, he battled Av too, but him and Av happened in VA. Like that was a whole nother event that we just happened to get the footage. You know,
Word. A
shout out to
lot of original like characters when I look at the names that you're mentioning, you know, like that was something that we like prided ourselves on as well, like wanting to have that's a New York thing. New York like wants
yeah,
variety. Like it can't be that everybody sound like Fab and Jada. Like
fact,
we're gonna get tired of that real quick. Like it's got to be a variety of personalities and styles, and the names that you're naming are people who like had original styles of their own.
yeah, yep. Shout out my bro Jim. See another one that came through the trap early. You know, had them big battles and everything like that. Like, yo, it's a lot of people.
And so the whole time you were running the league, you were also blogging at the same
Yeah,
time.
definitely.
And when did the shows begin?
Yeah.
That was when
Man, so in terms of shows, you know what's crazy? I have a crazy history with shows because I always would get offers to do other things. Like so early on, the first one was this dude named, I think his Twitter was like the real 101 or something like that. Like he had a show and I was doing mostly the editing. I wasn't actually on the show. I was doing like his visuals and everything. So that was one thing. Then see, I can say this, right? I didn't really take blogging too serious at one point. Like in terms of realizing like I had a community and I had a fan base. It was more so like I feel like it's a difference between posting videos and blogging. You
right,
feel me? Like actually paying attention to your community, your fan base and stuff like that. And I want to say it wasn't until the pandemic that I really started taking advantage of the community. I will be posting my videos, my recaps and everything. Um, and it would just be like, all right, I'm posting my shit, posting my videos. And so during the pandemic was when I started to do the No Mercy TV live because I'm
right.
realizing like, yo, everybody's home, everybody's in the crib, nothing to do. People are bored out their minds. Let me start doing an actual live show on a regular basis and try to stick to a schedule. So people know I was already doing like I would go live on Facebook every once in a while. I think I had a couple of points where I went live on YouTube, but only for a few minutes, like just to like try it out type shit. But then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make this my thing, like to actually just go live and keep the fans entertained and really tap into the No Mercy TV community. And during the pandemic, was when I finally started to do that. And so yeah, I would say that's really when all of the live and broadcasting and stuff like that started.
Word.
And then how do you end up linking up with Excel and doing the podcast?
You said what?
How do you end up starting the podcast, the Child of Fable?
Oh, so Let's Shop This Fable. It's like this. Both me and Excel, we're heavily opinionated, so whenever things are going on in the news or it's like some current event stuff, we always like are posting our feedback, whether it's albums that come out, songs that come out, movies, video games, some bullshit happening in politics, like, we're always discussing these things. And also me and Excel would discuss these things on the phone. Like, me and him would always have like I don't remember a time I spoke to Excel on the phone and it was less than an hour.
Okay.
Like,
Work.
we would really, be building on a regular basis for like an hour, 2 hours plus or whatever. And so we was like, yo, we really be having interesting conversations. Like, yo, we need to really like just make this a show kind of thing, and he was already doing different, like, he already had a couple of different shows that he had tried to do. Like, he had done interviews, he had his own podcast, I forgot the name of it, it's like Make It Plain or something like that. And he was trying it, but I guess he, Excel, being that he's not like the uppity kind of person, he needs another element in order to really be able to, talk his
Work
shit.
off of. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, to bounce the energy off of. So we was like, yo, we would probably be perfect to, just do that together. So that's what we wound up doing. And Let's Chop This Fable, the first couple of episodes were just me and him. I think me and him did like the first 4 or 5 episodes. And in the midst of this is when I ran across Sly. He had started battle rap blogging. He started doing content about the weirdos that I was going after. So I was like, oh, this guy knows his shit. Plus, me and him got the same people that we're against. So I started to, reach out to him and, tell him I like this work. And, we started discussing shit and stuff like that. And what I liked about Sly was, despite the fact that we were communicating or, building a rapport, he was still honest with me about certain things that he himself may not have liked that I was doing, such as like, the flagging channels and videos and stuff like that. And even I had put him on the game about the same thing, you feel me? So well, that didn't stop us from still continuing to build.
Right.
I respected the honesty. No, I wouldn't. I'm not a person that, if somebody's being honest with me, I'm going to be like, oh, well, fuck you, and, shit like that. Nah, I'm going to take it into consideration, or we can just agree to disagree.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's kind of how we started building. So me and Excel, we was doing the Let's Shop This Fable show, and I was like, yo, I got one person who I think would be the perfect element to add to this.
Fit.
Yes.
Right.
And I said, yo, I'm bringing my bro Sly. You feel me? And it's just been history since then, man. It's just been history since then. Like, them two, got along immediately. And one thing I can say about our show is, like, it's not like, you won't see what happened like with Joe Budden podcast, like with the Rory and Maul. Like,
right.
This is percentage. Like, each of us got a percentage. Of course, me and Excel got the bigger percentage, being that we started it off. But Sly still has a nice percentage. So when you see us get one of them nice, big, multi-million-dollar deals or whatever, oh, trust that everybody's going to be well taken care of. You feel me? So it's one of those things that we really early, like, we talk about that in our chat. Like, when we see shit like this, we are always saying, like, yo, we can't go out like the niggas did. You feel me? Like, we have a very great aesthetic. We got, great chemistry. And this show, if you remove one of us, like, we've put it like this, there have been shows, right, where it's been one of us missing. It might have been Sly and Excel just doing the show. It might have been just me and Sly doing the show. It might have just been me and Excel doing the show. The show is never the same.
The same without like, all three of y'all. Now, big facts. I can attest to that.
Yeah.
As a viewer, I can attest to that.
Yeah. So we know that. We're very aware of that. And we always are going to try to keep it that way. You feel what I'm saying? So like I said, like, Even when we get like a big multi-million-dollar deal, we're going to continue this show. It's going to be the three of us. That's the only way that this is Let's Chop This Fable.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's good that you figured all that out before anything came up, so you're prepared ahead of time and actually learn the lessons.
Yeah, because we watched the landscape, man, and I've trust me, I've thoroughly watched those Joe Budden podcast episodes, even the episode that he took down where he was going in on Rory and Maul and stuff like that. Like I've paid attention to a lot of that, and I'm like, yo, I never want us to have to go down this path.
Yeah,
I totally appreciate.
It's just about being transparent, and you know what I mean, like doing good business. That's all it really is.
Yeah,
it just sounds like there was not a lot of transparency on Joe Budden's end with them, and I mean I get it, but it's also one of those things where like I don't think that like everybody else necessarily understands either. You know what I mean? Like I get Joe Budden's stance on it too, of like, yeah, but like I'm Joe Buttons, and y'all were fucking nobody before me, so like. That is why the show is mine, and it's not, you know, it's the Joe Budden podcast. But like at the same time, like they built something together, and like fair is fair. Like when you build something together, like you should make sure that guys have transparency and access to everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That's where I think he like might have dropped the ball and like not, you know, been fully transparent with them where he should have been, you know.
Yeah,
it might have also been a situation where the guys weren't you know, like it's kind of like the locks with Puff, right? Where like, yo, you signed, you knew what you were getting into. It's just now that things are lit, now you want to see the books because now you're starting to like, you know, feel. But when you first got on, you agreed to fucking jack shit, and you know. So it's just one of those things where like, you know, and I don't think that we live in a very unforgiving time nowadays. Like we're like as a people, we're like so quick to like, you know, let our opinions on something be known without really like even knowing all the, you know, like facts behind it. That it's just one of those things where like people get roasted fast as fuck with a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? That it's just like
and you know, with us, like even like, all right, take for example the fact that we did do, you know, the first 4 or 5 episodes without Slot. We don't care about that. Like when we really get to, you know, we don't care about trying to get all specific with like, you know, how we break money down and shit like that. It's just, yo, this is what the percentage is, and this is how we going. Like at the end of the day, when we move on with this show, it's all coming with us like as a package deal. So, you know, whatever we get off of the entire content library, your percentage is based off the entire thing. It don't matter if we did 4 or 5 shows without you.
Right.
Like you're still going to get your rightful percentage that we agreed upon. You understand? So, even like I know we had the recurring joke on the show, like, oh, Mercy stole the monster money and shit like that. But no, we actually bust down a nice bag for Monster. You feel what I'm saying? So, you know, just even having that experience of signing like a nice corporate deal together where we, you know, take our percentage and we get our money every month and shit like that, that was a great experience. You feel me? Because I've never did anything like that before. So that is like your first foot into getting into the industry.
Right.
You know, and we want to get more of those bags. We want to sign more of those deals and shit like that. So we definitely going to keep this shit going. Like this ain't no short-term thing. This is like for good. You feel me?
Yeah. You feel like this is like, you're like, yo, all the other things I do have to take a backseat to this now, because like this is the like thing that's like for surely bringing a bag and feeding family. Or no, you still feel like I can just keep on doing everything?
Listen, everything, I'm trying to get everything lit. You feel me? Like even though you gotta think about it, because the show, I mean, now we doing it twice a week.
I was opening it up, right? Because I seen all the like trap New York battles that are coming, and I'm like, I was gonna hit you up to be like, believe me, I'm gonna be in the house. But I already know I'm going. I figured, you know what, it'd be better I just show up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
Oh no,
I already know what time it is. Nah, for surely.
But yeah, like you gotta think about it. We doing the show now. We doing it twice a week. I still got a whole bunch of other ventures I gotta entertain. I still got a blog. I still gotta run the league. Like, you know, and there's so many other avenues that I'm even, you know, still trying to get into. Like, I might get back into doing music and shooting videos and stuff like that for myself at some point. You understand? So, you know, I'm trying to do it all. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, again, like I told you earlier about the multiple streams of income, like I'm trying to have 6 or 7 of them joints coming in. I just had a newborn 4 months ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make sure he could feed his
Big facts.
grandkids off of everything I'm doing. You
And
know?
he out here slapping the shit out you left and right and shit. So
Oh
we all
my
know,
God.
like, we gotta make
He
sure
terrorizes me daily. You feel me?
Yo, kid smacks are like, baby smacks are like the most disrespectful because you know, for some reason they have like this like real Bruce Lee energy in them, and you don't see the smack coming. So like when by the time they're like 6 or 7, it's like you see them winding up and coming and running. But like when they like newborn like that, you don't see it. It's just like this quick whoosh.
No,
That's
but
just like, yo, what the
with my
fuck?
son, it's not the slap. It's the headbutt.
Oh, the headbutts. Facts,
Oh my
facts.
God. I will be holding him and he'll just like, I'll be just looking the other way for like 2 seconds. He'll cock his head back and bang. I'll be like, yo, what are you doing? Like, do you understand that if I go down, you go down too? Like, you need to be careful up here, buddy. The hell? Like,
he gonna do Uncle Excel proud and shit, be mad MMA by like 6.
Oh my God. I definitely know I'm gonna teach him, you know, how to defend himself real early, man. Because that's gonna be one of the things. And everything that I teach him, like when he grows up, I'm gonna more so use it as a bonding experience. Like, I'm not trying to take over his life or try to like force him to do certain things. Like, I wanna do things with him and be doing it with him. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, really building that father and son bond. Like, and we've already have been bonding on some like, yo, I'm like the cool parent. You feel me? Like, he know when he with moms, it's getting the diaper changed, getting fed, getting washed, it's business time. But the second he see daddy, his face is lighting up because he know now it's playtime and shit like that.
That's amazing.
You know?
Now that's dope. Yo, it's good. It's a beautiful thing seeing, like, I feel like our generations are all like taking a active role that we feel like might have been missing from previous generations. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was like it even if you didn't have a parent missing, right, or like a parent that wasn't active, it was just back in the days. It was a lot more like, yo, you had to do a lot more to like feed the family, and and our parents were also just they lived in a different era, right? So like they didn't fucking know, you know. Like I give my parents slack all the time when I'm just like, yo, like my siblings sometimes be, you know, trying to be harsh. So I'm like, yo, you gotta chill out, bro. Like, you didn't know this shit back then. Like, they didn't know. They were raising us in the savage ass 80s and the savage ass 90s. Like, it's different. Like,
I don't want to raise my son under like the tough love that we had. Like, we come from go get the switch, go get the belt. No, I want my son, when he makes a mistake, to like know that he could come to daddy, he could come to mommy, and tell
instead
him,
of being afraid.
I messed up.
Which is what we used to be, is afraid of talking to our parents.
I started lying to my mother because I was afraid I was going to mess with.
Right.
Yeah, me too. You absolutely got that right. I would lie about everything I do. I was going to get my ass going behind. That was like, I know if I tell you this shit, you're going to beat me. So let me just not tell you this shit, goddammit.
Yeah, exactly. So I never want that to be a thing with my son. Like, I want him to always like, I'm your parent, but I also want you to look at me as your friend. Like, you could come to me and not feel like you're going to be judged for the things that you do. Like, I understand you're young, you're a kid, you have to grow, you have to make mistakes. Like, you have to put your hand in the fire to know that you can get burnt from it. You feel me? So I want to be able to be comfortable, come to me with those mistakes and everything, so I could teach them, you know, all right, this is how you handle this situation. You feel me?
I definitely do. So, like, do you have anything like else that you want to like add as the cherry of this cake that we've had in the conversation? Like any last updates or announcements or anything?
Well, one thing I do want to just tell everybody, like, yo, I'm like the living testament of stand on your square, stay with your morals and principles, and just continue to grind. Like, it's gonna work out. You feel me? Whatever you do, whatever you're passionate about, like the name No Mercy, like it really initially it came from a close friend of mine named Jermaine, and rest in peace to him. Like I lost him, early. But he gave me the name No Mercy because it was just like, yo, you always ambitious, you always going after the things you want. So no mercy for me is short for show no mercy in achieving your goals and dreams. Like, don't let nothing stop you. Always go after, the things that you want. So with me, it's just the thing about like not giving up. No matter how quote unquote bad my numbers are or how many lack of views I get or whatever the case is, I'm still aware that I'm one of the most respected opinions, in the field that I'm in. So I know that still means something. Like my peers respect me. I don't care if y'all motherfucking weirdos that, all the fans love and y'all the motherfuckers that's, dressing up in judge robes and tooth costumes and shit. I don't care that they fuck with y'all. I'm outside with the people. Like the Dutch Vegas watch my content, the Sarah Connors, the Poison Pens, the John Johns, the Debos, the J Blacks, like those kind of people, are in tune with what I got going on. So that's what I really care about. You feel me?
I told Math about y'all, so Math might have checked y'all out too now.
Yo,
you know what I mean?
You know what's crazy? I was the first person that had Math on my platform blogging. If you go back and you look up a blog, it's like Math, Bill Collector, and D Chambers. Also, Math responding to Dose. Like when Dose first came out and said he wanted to do the rematch. Math did that sit down blog with me. It's a big ass NoMercyTv sticker on it. You feel me?
Crazy.
So yeah, and look at what Math is doing now.
Yeah, nah. I was when he came by like my album release, and I was talking to him specifically about shows. And I was telling him how like his shit to me is up there like with like to me I watch Drink Champs religiously, I watch his show religiously, and then I mentioned you guys and he was like religiously and he was like, wait, who? And I was like let's talk this Fable. I was like, it's with No Mercy, Sly, and XL, and he tried to be like, who with XL? I was like, come on, man. Like, yo, as soon as he did it, I was like, XL, Team Hami, battle rapper, bro. Like,
and then XL was on his show before, like, you feel me? But I'm not gonna lie, I'm extremely proud of where Math is because, like, he's showing that even someone coming from the battle rap space can do what Joe Budden and Nori and all them other guys.
Right.
You feel me? Like, look at Mav's show. Like, I'm looking at right now, right, with what's going on in Jesus and Mero. I seen that. I go to my YouTube and Math is dropping the Mero interview. I'm like, yo, Math guy.
I knew about that too. The person that set it up is a friend of mine, and I knew. It's crazy because I was supposed to have access to Jesus and Mero's set to shoot music videos. But now I don't know if that's still on the board now that like the show's about to be canceled and shit. I don't know if that set's even gonna be there next month when I was supposed to be going to use the shit. Hilarious.
Yeah. But it's good to see Math. It just like I said, coming from the battle rap space, doing what he do, like even that's motivating for somebody like me. You feel me? Like even at the level that I'm at, I still get motivated to work. It's something about just seeing your peers do what they do and succeed that continues to motivate me. Like some people get envious, some people get jealous. No, that's never been me.
Everybody fucks with you. You know what I'm saying? Like across the board, like let that be known. You know what I mean? Like look, like you guys ended up doing the Twitch shit for KOTD. You know what I'm saying? Like Organic, who's like notoriously fickle. You know what I mean? Fucks with you. You know what I mean? Smack fucks with you. Matt, everybody that I know that's
like
Sway, everybody that I know who I hold in like we're of this cloth, we're like quality motherfuckers that are always real and always authentic. You're never gonna get fake bullshit out of us. Like it's always the cloth, like all fucks with you heavy all across the board. You know what I'm saying? So like it's one of those things where like it's a like this episode is like dope because like I think it's like a head nut because like when I look at our guest list like of like people who fuck with us because they fuck with me is like the same thing goes like all those names. I'm sure I mentioned them to you, and it's gonna be the same thing as it like when Sway or any of the people who have been co-signed and been in the house and been standing next to you and been right there. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody fucks with you heavy. You know what I'm saying?
And these are all guys like there's not too many people in battle rap that I consider family, but Hami's definitely family. Like I done been to Hami Park, I done been outside with guys. Like those are really my guys. Like I love Team Hami, man. Like it's always love with them, always. Like and even when they speak on me, it's always in very high regard. You feel me? So I appreciate Hami more than most people in this culture. But it's a lot of people, man, like that I hold in high regard. Like shout out to Dot, like that's my brother. He always going to bat for the trap. Shout out to Jims, he another one, Excel, Ash Cash, that's really like my sis for real, Jay Murder, Show Off, like it's so I'll be naming people forever. You feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's a lot of genuine people that I met in battle rap that I fuck with heavy. You feel what I'm saying? Like even you, like I'll be seeing you in the comments and everything once in a while, and we'll talk on Facebook and shit like that. So, and plus just you being a legend in your own right and showing somebody like me love who, pretty much modeled what I do off of something that you set, part of a blueprint that you helped create. You feel what I'm saying? So,
absolutely. I've always been tuned in. I've always been checking it out. I've always been Trap New York, like you said, it was the only thing that was really cracking before y'all or around the same time was Big City, right? Like
we go hard.
That you know what I mean? And we go hard, your boy Clip started with us. You know what I'm saying? So like it's one of those things that like and I look at like everybody, like you guys and what y'all did, like it wasn't what we did, but that was what was beautiful and that was what was good. Like you guys set your own blueprint. I mean, there were similarities and things, but like you guys did your own thing, forged your own lane, did your own journey with like minimal to no cosign. You know what I'm saying? Carving out your own lane, and that's why like Penn and Sway and you know what I mean? Like we all I've been paying attention, you know what I'm saying? And I know that like you guys have added to you in particular, but you guys together have added to the history of battle rap that once it's written, once we get our own like museum and shit, you know what I'm saying? Like y'all get to be in there. Like we all get to be in there. We all in there together and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to We Go Hard too, because that's really like I fuck with a lot of them over there. Like even though it was heavy competition at one point, it was respectable competition. Like it was the Mets and the Yankees. You feel me? Like that's what it was the 1-2 punch in New York. You know what I mean?
Facts. Y'all were keeping New York alive and feeding talent to URL. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By competing with each other in that way.
Yeah, and people used to think it was like real beef. Like City is my guy. Like me and him talk. We don't even talk about battle rap half the time. We talking about video games. We talking about movies and shit like that. Like that's really my brother. You feel me? So, salute the We Go Hard. Everything they got going on. I'm actually gonna start popping out to a lot of the events and stuff like that just to show that love. You feel me? So
yeah.
But,
I think the older we get, the more responsibility we feel in like making sure that the flowers are distributed properly and that we're all doing our due diligence in like spreading our energy to those who deserve it more so than focusing on those who didn't deserve it,
Facts. Yeah.
Right.
For real.
So we definitely appreciate you coming through, No Mercy. It was
Nah, no
really
problem. I appreciate y'all having me on, man. For real, for real. Like, it's always dope to be able to just like be on a platform with people who, even if y'all don't have like a super crazy rapport or talk every day, it's still people that you're familiar with. You feel me?
Right.
And you could be yourself and not feel like it's like a just like some kind of media train type of interview. Like, nah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Jay, when you first came on, y'all talking about the Giants and shit like that. Like, we could have a conversation about that. Like,
facts.
that kind of, you feel me? So
Yeah,
I appreciate
yeah.
y'all bringing me on, man. For real, for real.
Nah, I
Yeah,
appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you taking the time.
facts.
Pixie double O
Thank you for
was
Oh,
coming
in
Pixie,
through.
the
shout out to Pixie.
Yeah, Pixie
was
came
in
That's
the
through.
was in the
Tony.
comments the whole time, came through, showed wild love, was like, hello Mercy, oh we have fun on Chop This Fable, LOL, I love battle
My
stuff.
bad, Pixie. I couldn't
And
see the
then
comment.
trap,
So
Facts.
yeah, nah, all good.
But yeah,
If Pixie would have said anything that was like, relevant to
we would
like,
have just
that
read
needed to
that.
be asked, pertinent, but I was definitely
yeah.
gonna make sure that to let you know that they was in the chat and whatnot. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
now I
And
appreciate you,
So
man. For real, for real.
so yeah. Shout out everyone else who is watching too in the various places you're at, and shout out End of the Week for hosting this. We're on their Zoom right now, so make sure you go follow them at eodub.com, and then you can find all their stuff. And I believe your Instagram is No Mercy Harlem, or I'm
Yeah,
not.
Instagram and Twitter,
And
No
then
Mercy Harlem.
you got
Also,
the link tree thing or whatever there that leads to all the
yeah,
stuff.
yep, all my links there. And shout out to the next trap event, man. August 14th, Bars Over Bullshit 7. That's one of our marquee events. Like, how everybody, URL got Summer Madness, RBE got the Max out. Like, Bars Over Bullshit, that's one of our, long running series where we bring out the heavyweights. We got Dot
Hey,
versus Prez on there. We got J2 coming back. We got J Murder coming back to battle West Crave. So, definitely going to be a lit event. Definitely going to be a lit
yeah,
event.
sounds dope.
yeah.
So,
I'm definitely gonna be in the building for that.
Oh yeah, trust me, I cannot wait. That event's gonna be crazy.
but yeah,
Word.
appreciate everyone again. Thank you all for watching this, and make sure that you follow No Mercy. And if you happen to be in New York, definitely make sure to check that out. I'll be like from afar pretending I can be there, but it's just kind of how it goes sometimes. But yeah, definitely thanks for coming through again. And yeah, just wanted to say live long and prosper to everybody.
All right, man.
Gang,
We
gang.
out. See y'all soon.
Peace.
Be safe.